Stadium in Kansas City, Missouri. It's opening day as the Baltimore Orioles meet the Kansas City Royals. The Orioles will start Bob Milacki, and he'll face the Cy Young Award winner from last year, Brett Saberhagen, the talent-rich Kansas City Royals. Hello again, everyone, and welcome to opening day as ESPN begins its first season of Major League Baseball. I'm John Saunders. We will be here throughout this season this year with Baseball Tonight 7 days a week, keeping you up to date on the day's happenings in baseball, as well as 6 games a week all year long. We here at ESPN are very proud to be part of Major League Baseball, and today we throw out the first pitch of ESPN's coverage. Up next, the first of 3 games here today from Royals Stadium in Kansas City. The Royals taking on the surprise of last year's American League, the Baltimore Orioles. The 1990 season is a week late in starting, but it is underway. The first pitch tossed out in Boston just over an hour ago, about 1:23 as a matter of fact. And Billy Buckner was back. He made the team as a non-roster player, and the fans have not forgotten his contributions during the '86 American League Championship season. Jack Morris to Dwight Evans. Dewey wasn't supposed to play, a bad back, but his back looks okay. Lloyd Mosby after the ball, can't get to it. The bases were full, but they're empty in a hurry. Boston would take a 3-0 lead on opening day at Fenway Park over the Detroit Tigers. Roger Clemens has been picture perfect through 4 innings. Roger Clemens with a no-hitter, and it's a 4-0 lead now for Boston over top of the Tigers. In New York in the National League, the Mets and the Pittsburgh Pirates. Doug Drabek on the mound facing Barry Lyons. And Lyons knocks this one out for a home run, a 2-run shot to make it 3-2. The game is now 3-3. Howard Johnson had the season's first home run for New York. Drabek also knocked in a run. It's all tied up now in the 3rd inning. A couple of notes before we get to your game. The New York Yankees and Don Mattingly are close to signing a new contract. The New York Daily News says Mattingly would become the highest-paid player in baseball with a 5-year, $19 million deal. Mattingly had said he wanted the contract done before today or he would become a free agent. Opening day has finally arrived. We'll get the season started in just a moment. We'll get you out to Royal Stadium. Bob Carpenter and Norm Hitzges will join you in a moment. We'll see you then.
ESPN Major League Baseball, brought to you by Mitsubishi, bringing you a full line of award-winning automobiles. See them all at your Mitsubishi Motors dealer. And by Levi's, 505 and 506 jeans.
This morning, the sun rose on a day like no other. A day steeped in tradition, yet forever young. When glories of the past and dreams for the future become one. Today, fans across the country celebrate baseball's opening day. ESPN's coverage starts on a rainy and cool afternoon at Royals Stadium in Kansas City. Today is the Kansas City Royals against the Baltimore Orioles. I'm Bob Carpenter. Welcome to Baseball in the 90s on ESPN. We're proud to bring it your way. Norm Hitzges with me this afternoon. And the Royals, Norm, surprise us only when they do not contend for the AL West title. Meanwhile, in the East, the Orioles, the surprise team from '89.
This may be April opening day for these two teams. They'd like it to be a preview of the American League Championship Series. Royals considered by many the best team in baseball with the additions they made in the offseason. Orioles jumped from 54 wins to 87 last year, and in the muddled AL East, everybody's a contender.
And here's the Sears diehard starting lineup for the Baltimore Orioles, who hit .252 a year ago. It starts in left field with Phil Bradley. Batting second is right fielder Joe Orsulak. And Cal Ripken at short, batting third. The cleanup man is catcher Mickey Tettleton. Randy Milligan at first base, batting fifth, followed by the DH Sam Horn. Craig Worthington at third, Mike Devereaux in center, and Billy Ripken at second base, batting ninth. Defensively, the Royals start in right field with Danny Tarnable. Jim Eisenreich next to him with Bo Jackson in left field. Kevin Seitzer at third, up the middle. It's Kurt Stillwell at short, and the veteran Frank White at second with George Brett at first base. And Bob Boone catching more games than any other behind the plate, handling a young veteran, right-hander Brett Saberhagen.
Brett Saberhagen turns 26 on Wednesday, and already he's got 2 Cy Youngs. Last year, 23-6. Could you believe it? Could have been better. 5 of his 6 losses, the Royals got him 1 run or no runs. He has 3+ major league pitches. A fastball in the low 90s, a really sharp curve, and a developing changeup.
Couple of Cy Youngs in the 80s for Saberhagen. The temperature in the high 50s. Cloudy skies. We have had rain in the morning here in Kansas City, but it's clear for now and hopefully will stay that way. Saberhagen throws one by Phil Bradley and we're underway. Bradley coming off a good spring after the 277 of a year ago with a good RBI total for a man who bats a lot at the top of the order. He hit .324 down in Florida. Saberhagen with another fastball. This one a little bit up and in. 0-2 very quickly.
Saberhagen 7-5 lifetime against the Orioles. But that record belies how effective he's been against them. In 14 games, a 2.34 earned run average.
Here's the 0-2 from behind the plate. You get the fastball coming right at you, and Bradley was able to foul it off to the right side.
One of the difficulties of facing Saberhagen is that a lot of pitchers have one very good pitch. Saberhagen has 3 very good pitches, so you can't sit on anything when you face him.
23-6 a year ago. The Royals were 29-6 in games that he started. Nothing but fastballs so far. That one over but low. And we showed you the numbers of Phil Bradley a moment ago, but he'll tell you that that's not the important thing for him. In '89, he was on a winning team for the first time in his career after some lean years in Philadelphia and Seattle. And Saberhagen's first breaking ball of the year, one to forget, back to the barrier. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Back in the late 1800s, the distance from home plate to the pitcher's mound was 50 feet, and that one would have still bounced.
Well, this is a guy who comes right at you. Nothing fancy. He's been credited with what they call a cold-blooded approach on the mound. You saw the stare in at the hitter. And after the 0-2 count, now the count is full at 3-2. Fastball for a strike, and the one hopper back to Saberhagen for out number 1. He's got the stuff to challenge hitters, and he did with the fastball. And you can do that in this ballpark in Kansas City. It is huge. A pitcher's paradise that seats 40,625. 330 down the lines, a true 385 out in the alleys, and a distant 410 in straightaway center.
This staff allowed only 86 home runs last year. The staff is one good reason. The park is another good reason.
Only Oakland and California had better team ERAs than the Royals in '89. This is Joe Orioles, the right fielder. Breaking ball dips down low.
You know, Bob, when you think of that stat, it's a little scary to an opposing team of hitters. Allowing 1 homer every 2 games.
Come in for 3, you might only hit 1. You've got to stay 4 days to hit a couple. There's a fastball up and in. 2 balls, no strikes. Orioles has found himself a home in Baltimore now. Number 1 on the club at 285 a year ago. The second straight year he's led the Orioles in hitting. Challenging him with a fastball with Saberhagen, fouled off to the left, and nobody has gotten around on Saberhagen's fastball yet. Bradley fouling one off to the right, Orioles to the left side.
Orioles depends on pulling the ball to be an effective hitter, too. As Bob told you, high 280s last year, but only 215 when he went the other way.
This one skied to center, fairly deep. Eisenreich, it's a graveyard out there for fly balls. 2 down.
There's a different face in center field, eh?
Well, last year on this day, Jim Eisenreich was the 4th outfielder. He has traded that role with Willie Wilson, flanked by Jose Tartabull, or rather Danny Tartabull, Jose's son, who's such a good player, and Bo Jackson. Don Denkinger calls the balls and strikes today. Durwood, Merrill, John Shulock, and Tim McClelland, veteran American League crew, on the bases. Bases empty, 2 down, and Cal Ripken, the hitter. Fastball right in there. He's already obliterated the back line of the batter's box with that right foot.
We told you about Saberhagen being 7-5 lifetime against the Orioles, but let's break that apart. Let's put Saberhagen in this park. Lifetime against Baltimore, 5-1, and an earned run average of .98. The Orioles figure to get 1 earned run today. Historic. Oh my.
Ripken swung at the breaking ball. There was about a 58-footer. No balls and 2 strikes.
You know, you get so ready for the fastball that when it's something else and you're sitting on it, Ripken looked like he was guessing there, didn't he?
Yeah, you've got to gear up for the fastball. You don't react to that. He's bounced 2 breaking balls and thrown 1 over but low. Now here's the 0-2 delivery. Another one. This one down low. Bob Boone handling it. Cal Ripken, you saw his 21 homers in '89 a few moments ago. And against pitchers like Saberhagen, not easy to do what he has done. Saberhagen's dominance last year against the Orioles. Look at that ERA.
They got a run.
A third of 1 a game. And the fastball misses outside. But Ripken has done something now that no shortstop in Major League history has ever done. 20-plus home runs in 8 seasons. But he slumped badly in September, and that hurt the Orioles as they finished only 2 games back of Toronto. Fastball, see you later. Looked like Saberhagen might have taken a little bit off it and ran it inside on the right-hander. It caught the corner, and Brett Saberhagen works through a 1-2-3 first. The Royals due up in a moment. Here's the Sears diehard starting lineup for the Kansas City Royals. They hit .261 last year. The DH leading off is Gerald Perry, followed by Kevin Seitzer and George Brett. Bo Jackson, the cleanup man in left field, followed by Danny Tartabull, Jim Eisenreich, and Kurt Stillwell. Batting 8th is Frank White, and the number 9 man is catcher Bob Boone. Defensively for the Orioles, in right field, Joe Orsulak, speedy Mike Devereaux in center, and good speed in left with Phil Bradley. Greg Worthington, the third baseman, the company of Ripken and Ripken up the middle. Randy Milligan at first. Mickey Tettleton, a big story last year behind the plate, and he's catching the right-hander, a second-year man who was busy a year ago, Bob Milacki.
25-year-old Bob Milacki made 36 starts last year as a rookie to tie Dave Stewart and Mark Gubicza for the American League lead. He finished wonderfully for the Orioles with 9 wins in August and September. Saberhagen, Davis, and Milacki were the 3 biggest winners in August and September. He is a sinker baller, and that might be his big problem, because on this pool table, sinker ballers often have balls scoot through the infield. Last year when he pitched on artificial turf, Bob Milacki allowed opponents to hit .318.
But his sinker is tailored for Memorial Stadium in Baltimore and the outstanding Orioles defense, #1 in the American League a year ago. And here's a guy who will be an interesting story to watch in KC. Former Atlanta Brave Gerald Perry leading off as the DH. And he had a good spring after those numbers with the Braves last year. .417 with a couple of homers and 4 RBIs. Ironically, the last time we saw a DH lead off in this league was a couple of years ago. It was the other team, the Baltimore Orioles, with Alan Wiggins. You don't see the DH lead off a whole lot. It's normally a power position in the batting order.
A lot of people think that if in horse racing there's horses for courses, this is a player built for this park, a line drive hitter.
And defensively, he can spell George Brett at first base if needed. And George has had that history of injuries. 2 balls, 1 strike as Milacki is behind in the count.
Sadly for the Braves, the guy they got in the deal for Perry, Charlie Lebrand, developed rotator cuff problems. So only Rick Lukin is left with Atlanta on the active roster.
Fastball up and away, ball 3, and to start the ball game, a walk to this guy is not what Bob Milacki wants. Milacki 1-1 with a 2.5 ERA during the spring. Most pitchers had 3 spring appearances, about half what they normally would have. And that's ball 4. Interesting, on the first day of the season, that the Baltimore skipper, Frank Robinson, did not go to home plate with the lineup card. John Watson did, but Frank sent out his first base coach, Johnny Oates.
Robinson generally hailed for the wonderful job he did last year, and the people who know Frank Robinson best say he really changed last year. He used to be almost Patton-esque in the dugout, and he's relaxed a lot. He took his young club and said, hey, let's go try to get better, and they really seemed to respond to that type of treatment.
Kevin Seitzer took a dip in the average last year, down into the low 280s, but he's still up around 300 as a career hitter. Malachi checks the runner. Perry with a short lead, and he holds as the ball just misses outside. One more point on Robinson, Norm. I think his mellower approach might go back to 1988 when he took over for Cal Ripken Sr. Orioles in the midst of that nightmare losing streak. He did a great job of keeping his sense of humor and his calm, and that evidently set the table for 1989. Perry has lengthened the lead a bit. It's easy to gauge a base runner's lead here where they have the sliding pits on these artificial surfaces. If he gets 1 foot out on the turf, you know he's got a good lead, and Perry's right foot was barely out on the turf that last time as he inches that way. Fastball ripped into center. Retreating is Devereaux. Plenty of room. 1 out, runner back to first base. Kevin Seitzer hit 15 homers back in '87 when they say the ball was juiced a little bit, but he has not hit double figures since then playing in this ballpark. And with 1 on, 1 out, a Kansas City legend to the plate, George Brett. George in his 17th big league season, and he has a habit, Norm, of coming back with a vengeance the year after the numbers dip a bit because of injuries.
He didn't like being considered a second-line star player at all. He'd always been a first-line star player, and you get a feeling he and the other vets feel this is sort of a last-chance situation.
Royals have 5 starters 31 years old or older among their position players. George in the spring, couple of homers, hit .275. Rigid off-season conditioning program like he did several years ago. Remember the turnaround from '84 to '85? 30 homers and 112 RBIs that season, after '84 had been, by his standards, a lost season for him. Malachi checking the runner on 0-1. You'd have to go all the way back to his rookie season in 1974 to find George hitting as low as .282.
By the way, Perry may be a DH and a first baseman, but he can really run. He once stole 42 bases for Atlanta.
Malachi having trouble locating the fastball so far. That one was way up and away, forcing Tettleton out of his crouch. And meanwhile, we talked about the Baltimore infield last year. They were awesome. #1 defensively. 87 errors in 162 games, and you can see the Ripken brothers are in double play position with Worthington well off the line at third. Runner holding. Brett, one hopper. Cal backhand. Billy on the pivot, and they turn it. 6-4-3.
Nice call, Mr. Carpenter.
Against a defense like this, you've got to be thinking about the twin killing all the time. Malachi survives the inning opening walk and gets this soft liner from George Brett, and a nice play by Cal.
Nice backhand scoop, and there it's a formality because Billy really turns it well. Brett's easy, 3 steps.
Nothing doing for each team. First inning in the books in Kansas City.
Welcome back to ESPN's Major League Baseball. In Boston at Fenway Park, Roger Clemens was working on a no-hitter through 5. Tony Phillips at the plate in the 6th. He got him twice, but not the 3rd time. Back up through the box, breaks up the no-hitter. The Red Sox in command in the game. 1940, Bob Feller, the last to have a no-hitter on opening day. Let's get it back to Bob and Norm in Kansas City.
Thank you, John. And top of the 2nd underway here in Kansas City. Mickey Tettleton, the leadoff hitter against Brett Saberhagen. So Roger Clemens, after that 17-11 season a year ago, off to a great start here in 1990. Breaking ball is outside. Mickey Tettleton, of course, coming off a storybook season of a year ago with all those homers. A lot of them coming in the middle part of the season when he was red hot, but an injury cut it short at the end. Fastball up, he couldn't catch up. 2 balls and a strike. John Wathan, they call him the Duke in Kansas City.
Does one of the finest John Wayne imitations you'll hear anywhere. Has a terrific collection of John Wayne films, too.
2-1 and a fastball tailing away. Tough pitch on left-handers. And Saberhagen gets the count back even, 2-2.
Notice what Saberhagen isn't doing so far, though. Showing his changeup. That's for the second time through the lineup.
They don't get the whole repertoire early. Fastball down, up the middle, base hit. Saberhagen made a stab at it. He's upset with himself for not making the play. But Norm mentioned the quick turf in KC, and it played a part as that one snuck through. First base hit of the ball game.
It's unusual Saberhagen doesn't make this play. This is the Gold Glove Award winner last year at pitcher in the American League.
Not a bad combination. Cy Young and Gold Glove.
Pitcher-catcher Gold Gloves working with each other right now.
Randy Milligan, the hitter. Tettleton's not going anywhere. A very short lead for him as Brett Saberhagen drops a breaking ball in.
Randy Milligan has one of those weird career stats. See, that average was made up of hitting right-handers well.
Breaking ball inside, 1 ball, 1 strike.
302 lifetime against righties and 217 against lefties. This is the reverse platoon. He sits versus lefties and plays versus righties.
Fastball running inside just off the plate. We've got a couple of guys in the ballpark like that today. Jim Eisenreich for the Royals. And we'll talk about him more when he comes up. But he hits lefties better than he hits right-handers, which helps John Wathan plug in the lineup every day. 2-1 the count as the Royals look for a twin killing here, and it's fouled off to the right side.
Milligan's an odd hitter. He's got an inside-out swing. And when he's really hot, he drives the ball to right and right center. And that's the way the Royals are playing him now. This is a big right-hand hitter, number 5 in the lineup, that's played to right center field by the Royals.
Big breaking ball. Right field. It will drop in front of Tartabull for a base hit. Tettleton stops at second base. And the Orioles have something going here in the second inning. And a big left-hander is up in the person of Sam Horn as the plot thickens here early for Saberhagen and company.
You know, you wonder about Sam Horn being the DH today for the Orioles, really. He's left-handed. Now, they could have put Stan Jefferson, a switch hitter, in, and he could have batted right-handed against Saberhagen. Why would you bat a right-handed DH? Look at the incredible oddness of Saberhagen. He is much, much tougher on lefties than he is on righties in his career.
I chatted about him with that in the clubhouse a couple of hours ago. He said there's one reason for that. Changeup. He really drops it down and away from left-handed hitters. There's the big breaking ball down low. The big question is now, though, first time around for Sam Horn and men on base, will he show him the change this early in the ballgame? Of course, your other pitches set up the changeup. This is a good guy to double up if you can get the ground ball, and there's the fastball low and inside, 2-0.
To make the changeup truly effective, you get the first pitches over. The changeup works when you get the hitter in the hole.
There's the high hard one. Horn could not catch up. 2 balls and a strike. This man is big. He is strong. Broke in big fashion with the Red Sox a couple of years ago, but things just never worked out for him in Boston. Another fastball. High drive to right center. Eisenreich and Tartabull watch it go into the fountain.
Did you think that ball was going to go that far when you saw it leave the bat?
Didn't look that way, and Eisenreich and Tartabull didn't think so either. Into the water. That's at least 430 feet away and maybe a whole lot more. 3-0 Baltimore.
Welcome back to the majors, Sam Horn, who came to camp with a prayer to just make the baseball team, and his second swing of the season.
Here's Craig Worthington fouling off a fastball, and there's your early score on 2 singles and the Sam Horn rifle shot into the fountains in right center field. It's the O's by 3. And 40,000 got quiet in a hurry in Royals Stadium. Worthington, #1 among rookies in big league ball with those 70 RBIs a year ago. Saberhagen dropping that one down below his bat. 1 ball, 2 strikes. And the big breaking ball is the one he's having trouble getting into the strike zone right now.
You know, it's kind of surprising last year with the Cinderella season the Orioles had that Worthington, a really surprised player, didn't get more notice.
Ooh. Saberhagen thought he had him struck out. First base umpire Durwood Merrill said no swing, and the count goes to 3-2.
You beat Don Denkinger. Tough pitch to take with 2 strikes.
And he drops it down and inside to get the strikeout. Saberhagen's second K of the game. So he recovers to strike out the man following the home run hitter. And that's only the first out here in the second inning. Next up, Mike Devereaux, former product of that fine program of Jim Brock's out at Arizona State University. Breaking ball, still not in the strike zone.
One of many young players liberated from other organizations by the Orioles, who made 17 trades in 18 months.
Base hit left field. Saberhagen got that pitch up, and Devereaux was all over it. So it's odd to see Brett Saberhagen hit around in this inning like he has been. 4 hits in 5 hitters. And last year in the month of April, he only yielded 1 home run, facing 163 hitters. Today, the number 6 man he faces leaves the yard. He's given up 3 runs on 4 hits, down already to the number 9 man in the batting order, Billy Ripken.
Got for a bunt here. Orioles like to bunt. They like to run in situations like this where they're ahead. Robinson, once he gets the lead, often becomes ultra aggressive. He bunts, he runs, he hit and runs. He uses a lot of his gimmick plays, and here's a good spot to try to jump on Saberhagen for more.
His best sacrifice man for the last 2 years is at the plate. And the Royals thinking runner going, pitching out. Devereaux with good speed over there at first. And the 22 that he had last year led all rookies in the American League. He's the fastest man on the Baltimore team. And a high strike zone pitch. 1 ball, 1 strike as Saberhagen got it up near the letters. Billy Ripken is not a threat as Dad bounces signals around the infield. To Devereaux and to the hitter. He's not a threat to hit it out of the ballpark. So you can challenge him with the high strike.
Here's where the veteran catcher Boone starts to guess a little. Would he pitch out again?
A delayed move to first. Saberhagen stepped back off the rubber, didn't act like he was going to make a throw, then wheeled and fired.
Devereaux back by the hair on his upper lip.
There's a shot to left field. Here comes Bo. He's there in plenty of time. Long throw to first, and he can't get the double play as George Brett goes skyward to pull it down. The speed and the strength of Bo Jackson for you on 1 play.
Jackson tries to double Devereaux, who is almost at second. Brett looks like he makes a great save here, but it wouldn't have cost the Royals. 42-year-old Bob Boone had scooted all the way down there and was backing up that play.
But on the turf, you never know when that throw might end up in the seats. Now 2 outs and the man still at first. Back to the top of the order, Phil Bradley.
Now we got a perfect steal situation. If Devereaux's thrown out, you've got the leadoff hitter up next inning.
Starts and stops and down the line, but foul off the bat of Bradley, who bounced back to the pitcher his first time and this time was looking right field way.
Danny Tartavel, making friends and influencing people, tosses that ball up in the stands.
Bradley was an option quarterback at the University of Missouri, not too far from here. Runner holds and the fastball up and in. I've talked to Phil in the past about the old football baseball option. A lot of folks talking about that after the advent of Bo Jackson. And Phil said he never really had that option. He was not considered a pro quarterback prospect, although he did tinker with the idea of playing in the defensive backfield a little bit. But he was in love with baseball. Broke in with Philadelphia and got to Seattle.
Here's a perfect pitch situation for Devereaux to scoot if Robinson wants to.
2 balls and 1 strike as time is called.
Here's where Saberhagen must be aware of that and will probably throw over, a lot, because he's disadvantaged his catcher. It's tough to call pitch out 2-1.
Runner going, fouled out of play, right side.
Devereaux gets down to second base, pivot, and looks back at Bradley. One gets the sense that Phil Bradley may have missed a steal sign there.
Bradley selected by the Mariners back in June '81 in the 3rd round of the free agent draft. Part of that Glenn Wilson deal sent him to Philly a couple of seasons ago. And as we said earlier, after 7 consecutive losing seasons in the big leagues, he finally tasted what it was like to finish over 500 with the O's last year. Saberhagen, meanwhile, with another full count, and the runner will be moving. Popped up right side. George Brett has room. And the inning is finally over for Saberhagen and the Royals. But not before the Orioles get 3 runs on 4 hits. Sam Horn's 3-run homer.
And Roger Clemens lost his no-hitter to the Tigers. Now he's trying to hang on to the game. You see the score is 4-2. 2 runs. It's now into the 7th. In the National League, the Pirates and the Mets. Andy Van Slyke with a 2-run home run, breaking up a 3-3 tie. You see the games later. Some of you will see the Cubs and the Phils. All of you will see the Dodgers and the Padres. Back to Bob and Norm.
Thank you, John Saunders, and welcome back to Royal Stadium, Kansas City. Norm Hitchcock, Bob Carpenter, and Bo is with us now. Those numbers from last season as Jackson steps in against Bob Malacky, who's been handed a 3-run lead, and he bounces one in the dirt. Now, there's a very significant thing that's taken place here in KC. There's Danny Tartabull on deck. Last year, John Wathan really didn't want to bat them back-to-back because of the number of strikeouts. This year, he feels Tartabull is so much of a better hitter that he's going to put them 4 and 5 because Tartabull's been hitting better. And now this year he has Jim Eisenreich to hit behind Tartabull to protect him a little bit, so he'll see good pitches. Royals opponents could be paying for this duo a couple of times. You'll see some back-to-back homers with these 2 guys hitting together. Fastball up, and that's the pitch a power hitter has to lay off of. That's a strikeout pitch, and now the count's 3-0. And does Malacky groove one to get a strike up by 3 runs?
If he does, I'd recommend diving behind the mound after he's done it in case Bo hits it up the middle.
Fastball was a little bit low and outside, and Jackson draws the leadoff walk. And that's the 2nd consecutive inning that Malacky has walked the leadoff hitter. Double play got him out of it in the 1st inning, and Tartabull steps in. 3 homers in the spring to go along with some impressive numbers from a year ago when he did fight some injury problems that kept the power numbers down just a bit.
If you look at baseball tendencies, the Royals will score this inning because 1 out of every 2 leadoff walks score in baseball. First one didn't. Let's see if this one does.
Right in there to Tartabull. Subject of a lot of trade talk during the offseason, but Wathan says it's not because the Royals were shopping him. It's because other clubs were approaching Kansas City, saying we're interested in Danny Tartabull. He was pumping on a breaking ball that stayed a little bit inside. No balls, 2 strikes.
Danny Tartabull, they say sometimes the acorn doesn't fall far from the tree. This one fell a long way from his dad's tree. He's a lot different player than Jose was.
No balls, 2 strikes. Jackson, the cleanup man, also a running threat.
Jose Tartabull played 9 years in the big leagues and hit 2 homers. Danny hit 4 in his first week in the big leagues.
That's when you take the ball from number 3 and send it to Dad. Here's the 0-2. And a high drive to right center. Shulock to the track, waving off Devereaux, and he's got it 385 feet away, and Jackson tags and goes to second. Almost a homer by Tartabull, and back to the studio to John Saunders.
Bob and Norm, in New York, the Mets and the Pirates. It's a 3-3 game. Dwight Gooden facing Andy Van Slyke with a man aboard. He goes for the low fastball, gets it, and takes it back. Out to right center field and gone. Right now it's a 5-3 game. The Pirates leading the Doctor and the Mets. Let's get it back to Royal Stadium.
Thank you, John. And the Pirates need a big year from Andy Van Slyke to come back in the National League East. Here's Jim Eisenreich. You know, earlier when we showed up at the ballpark, Norm, the wind was blowing to left field. It's a right center field jet stream now. Horn got one way up in there and lost one into the fountain, and Tartabull moments ago almost did the same thing, similar location.
Bo's a threat to hit the Fellowship of Christian Athletes.
Up on the other side of I-70 up there. Here's Eisenreich. A homer and 5 RBIs during the spring. And he goes the other way. This is shallow in left field for Phil Bradley. 2 down. Jackson tagging but going nowhere. And it'll take the 2-out hit by Stillwell to score the run for the moment, as the Royals are about to waste another leadoff walk. Stillwell's offensive numbers from a year ago. He'll be 25 in June. He's got the quickness and the great arm to be a very good artificial turf shortstop. Switch hitter, lefty against the right-hander Bob Milacki. Kansas City still looking for its first base hit. And the big breaking ball drops down and in.
Stillwell hangs out at the bottom of the Royals lineup, but he's a pretty good run producer. Last 2 years he's driven in 105 runs, 51 2 years ago and 54 last year. Good solid player.
2 years ago his 10 homers were a Royals record for a shortstop. Fastball at the letters, outside corner, 1 ball, 1 strike.
And he raced the all-time record of 1 held by Buddy Biancalana.
Yeah, that's another one that took about a week to fall. Bo Jackson at second with 2 down. He walked to lead off the inning, tagged on a long Tartabull flyout, and remained as Eisenreich flied out to left. Down low, Tettleton covers it. 2 balls and a strike.
Milacki spent 5 years in the minor leagues before his 1988 September recall. My goodness, did he break in with a bang. A 1-hitter over Detroit. 2-0. Maybe the only bright spot from the 88 season for the Orioles.
There's a good changeup. Now you saw the late movement of that pitch. A little bit down and definitely away from the left-handed hitter.
You know, normally you don't want the off-speed pitch up. But he did have really good movement. Good screwball-like action on the change.
Count of 2-2. With a runner at second, Orioles go through the different sequence of signs. Milacki brushed so that Tettleton could start the sequence all over. Fastball a little bit low. And he's got the sinker going. That one really had some sink to it late. Full count. Stillwell with a 3-2 count with 2 outs and Bo Jackson at second. And there's the veteran Frank White, hoping he gets a chance this inning. Out of play, straight back. Royals with 40,000 plus here today. Game's a sellout. Royal Stadium seats 40,625. This is a franchise that normally draws 165% of the total population of Kansas City. They're way over 2 million on a regular basis in the Major League's smallest market.
It's almost a regional franchise, isn't it?
It really is. They've got a radio network that touches 12 states. Royals mania in the great Midwest. Here's the 3-2. To the second baseman, Billy Ripken with an easy play. And Malacky in the Orioles out of it in the second. He's pitched around leadoff walks twice and leads 3-0. From the upper deck at Royal Stadium in Kansas City, folks looking down on the scene here that has been all Baltimore so far. Orioles parlaying 4 hits into 3 runs off Brett Saberhagen in the second inning.
Saberhagen, first of all, that doesn't add up. You're not being deceived there. This isn't the new math. 21 and 36 or 57. He's thrown 47 pitches. Realize something now. Starting pitchers, because of the lockout, did not get their normal spring work. They probably didn't figure Saberhagen can throw more than maybe 100 today, Bob. I would say at the outside, we can only see Brett 2 or 3 more innings.
Shulock leading off the third for Baltimore. Brett told me this morning it was a 100-pitch situation today, and he threw 31 pitches in that second inning. Shulock flied to center his initial time up, and this time he looks left field side and hits one out of play. 0-2.
Shulock's a guy that really had to check the lineup last year when he came to the park. He batted in all 9 positions.
Yeah, not to see if he was playing, but where, huh? Yeah. He was also the best pinch hitter in the American League from a batting average standpoint. 6 out of 15 he was. And he also played very well defensively. 10 outfield assists. Not bad when you have guys like that backing up the already great infield that Baltimore featured. But there's one thing the Orioles have to do more of this year, Norm, and that is hit the baseball. They were 12th in the league hitting last year at .252. They were in the top 5 in homers. They just didn't have many people on base. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Breaking ball hit down the line. That'll reach the seats foul on this side of the pole. It's one of the most interesting configurations for any ballpark in baseball as far as the corners go. It's 330 down the lines, as we told you earlier here, but look how quickly it juts out before it levels off and heads for right center field. It's the trickiest corners for outfielders to play in the major leagues.
You know, you wonder how many Joe Orsulaks are running around out there. The guy that came up with Pittsburgh, looked good, leveled off, tailed off, drifted the minor leagues, and then only a team as bad as Baltimore was a couple years ago could give him a chance to be an everyday player. And slowly he developed, and now he's a nice, solid major league player.
1-2 delivery. Saberhagen challenges him with a fastball. It's out of play left side.
You know, Bob, you wonder, if Orsulak gets swapped to somebody else who's in contention and they make him a bit part player, where does he go? Is he one of those guys that spends his life bounding between Vancouver and Chicago or Boston and Pawtucket? You know, he got time in the major leagues.
There's the big breaking ball. Fly to left field for Bo Jackson. And we just saw something that we haven't seen all day from Brett Saberhagen. The big breaking ball for a strike, resulting in an out.
No matter how good a fastball you have to have something else to get over the plate. And Brett wasn't getting it over the plate. As Bob pointed out earlier, every time Saberhagen's tried to throw a breaking ball the first 2 innings, he's bounced.
Cal Ripken playing in ball game number 1,251. And those are consecutive appearances, the Iron Man of the O's. But Norm, as we mentioned earlier, he really slumped in September, hitting 199. Did the everyday activity hurt him and the Orioles late in the season? Is this a guy who needs a day off now and then?
Well, what you worry about is that's the 2nd straight year. Late August, September, Cal Ripken tailed off.
Into the glove of Saberhagen.
Hello, Gold Glove.
Well, he's got the early line on the award again with that grab, and the second out of the inning. He just got it out in the web.
The catcher, Mickey Tettleton.
Brett helping himself. A fly ball and a line drive, 2 outs, and it's Saberhagen against Tettleton. Speaking of a new lease on life, released by the A's a couple of years ago and now a fixture in Baltimore.
Well, again, let's talk in the same terms we did with Orioles. Where would Mickey Tettleton be today if the Orioles hadn't given him a chance? And let me add some other names to that. Mike Devereaux, Randy Milligan, Dave Johnson, who's now in their starting rotation, Mark Williamson, guys that came out to play very, very well because they got a chance.
And if Mickey wouldn't have had his knee scoped last August, and of course with time on the DL, his numbers would have been up around 30-some homers and RBIs around the 80s or so. 29 years old. And into right center field. Eisenreich giving chase, and he's got great speed out there as well. You don't hit too many between the Royals outfielders. A 1-2-3 third for Saberhagen. Baltimore stays on top, 3-0.
In Boston at Fenway Park, the Red Sox and the Tigers. Wade Boggs had the first hit of the 1990 season and his second hit of the day against Jack Morris. His career hit number 1,600. And look at the hustle. Boggs off and racing. Stretches a single into a double. He would later score on Ellis Burke's double. Right now, let's get it back to Royal Stadium. It's 5-2, 3-0 in Kansas City.
All right, John, thank you very much. And into the Royals dugout we take you on opening day.
You know, it strikes me looking at the Royals dugout, it's only taken them 2 innings to trash out that dugout. Shells, cups, seeds, everything's in there.
It's part of being at the ballpark. Bottom of the 3rd inning, bottom of the order for the Royals, with Frank White getting things off. Thank you, Kenny Fouts, for that trash shot. They'll be cleaning things up here later today. Kenny Fouts, our director, Mark Quinzel, our producer here at Royal Stadium today. And it looks like, knock on wood, that the weather is okay for a while at least. They said there would be a window of clear weather this afternoon, and we've enjoyed that window so far. Fastball pulled left side. Worthington playing shallow, throws him out. 1 down, and that's 4 in a row retired by Bob Malacky. Coming up later, our second game of the triple-header will be the Padres and the Dodgers from Dodger Stadium in L.A. with UB Brooks and Juan Samuel added to that lineup, and the great pitching looking tough. That's after this game here. And then later on tonight, another one. Blue Jays and the Rangers on ESPN. Down to Arlington we'll go. Bob Boone coming off a productive season. And here, the start today in his 18th big league campaign. And nobody is anywhere near him in terms of numbers of games caught. Carlton Fisk is second. The retired Jim Sundberg is third. Game number 2186 behind the plate for Bob Boone here today. But he won't be the only story this year for the Royals behind the dish. Norm, they're going to work in young Mike McClelland as much as they can.
Well, they have to. At 42 years old, they got to be careful with Bob Boone.
Easy fly ball right field for Joe Orsulak. Nobody's getting a real good hack at Bob Malacky right now. A couple of quick outs. That's 5 in a row retired.
Well, Malacky comes into this game having won his last 5 starts last year and going 9-3 total in August and September. This is a young man that after a half season of hard work really seemed to find his sinker and settle into the routine of a major league pitcher. I think you have to call this guy the Orioles ace given Ballard's elbow surgery. Ooh, beauty. Whoop.
Off-speed breaking ball, and Gerald Perry was way out in front. After walking in the first inning, he was doubled up on a George Brett liner a little bit later. This one, a little harder, catches the inside corner. And if he starts hitting spots like that, look out. This one down in the dirt. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Perry trying to get something going here in front of Mickey Tettleton. And the Royals still without a hit through almost 3 innings at the plate. And there was a sinker that was up a bit, but it had that late break and dive to it.
You know, if you're a Royals fan, what bothers you is the ease with which Malaki's working. He just seems to be flipping the ball up there. And as you mentioned a couple of hitters ago, nobody seems to be getting a good hack at it.
Fastball up, little chopper, back to the pitcher. Pretty good jam job there. And a 1-2-3 third inning. Malaki has faced 1 over the minimum, and he's retired 6 in a row with the Orioles leading by 3.
ESPN Major League Baseball, brought to you by Bud Light. Everything else is just a light. And by Franklin, the batting glove that's a hit with the best in baseball.
Welcome back to Royals Stadium, Kansas City. Top of the 4th inning, Orioles on top, 3-0. They've out-hit the Royals, 4-zip. And the leadoff man is Randy Milligan, who sends a lookout liner into the seats on the right side. Al Jackson alongside Bob Milwaukee. Jackson, Frank Robinson's pitching coach.
Milligan had a key hit his first time up. As usual, an opposite field single. He's a much better hitter when he sprays the ball to the right side. And it set up 2 men on base for Sam Horn, who drilled a 3-run shot.
This one missing inside, 2 balls and a strike.
You know, it's funny. The way to pitch Milligan is to get him inside, because that cuts down on Milligan's strength. He likes to take the ball the other way, and it's very hard to take that inside runner to right field.
Here's a fastball tailing in. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Randy Milligan has also shown a tendency to get on base a lot. Last year he averaged a walk every 6 at-bats, and only Ricky Henderson and the awesome Fred McGriff, and he's a power hitter who will get a lot of walks, averaged better than that. A walk every 6 times up. On the knees in the inside corner, Saberhagen got him. Milligan gave up on the pitch, and suddenly it nipped the corner. And Brett Saberhagen has his 3rd strikeout of the game.
And suddenly Brett Saberhagen's mowed down 6 men in a row. Randy said, yeah, good call.
And we'll watch this matchup the second time around. Sam Horn with that long 3-run homer. He was hacking, figuring Saberhagen would want to get ahead in the count. He was all over that high fastball.
Horn was famous as a minor league home run hitter. He hit some monster shots at Pawtucket while he was in the Red Sox chain.
George Brett waiting for that one. Third base for many years, but now doing the job over there. And that's 2 down. And 7 straight retired by Brett Saberhagen. So both pitchers on a roll. Problem is, Brett may look back in a couple of hours and remember that 2nd inning when he might have lost it all over the span of 3 hitters.
You know what's really difficult to keep in perspective about Brett Saberhagen is how young he is.
He was short of his 20th birthday when he broke in with Kansas City.
25 years old.
Pitching in the World Series in his 2nd season and winning.
This guy's got 2 Cy Young awards, and he's 25.
But the bad news for Royals fans may be, Norm, is that this is an even-numbered year.
Yeah.
He has had a very unusual pattern throughout his season, throughout his career, season by season.
Yeah, he has an odd, even, up, down success tendency.
There's a high chopper to short. Stillwell waiting for it. He's got a gun. And an easy inning for Saberhagen with a called 3rd strike, couple of ground balls. And we're 3.5 innings in, but the Orioles still on top.
At Shea Stadium in New York, the Pittsburgh Pirates and the New York Mets. Doc Gooden got knocked out of the game, and things didn't get much better for Mets pitchers. 6th inning, Wally Bachman sends a lazy fly ball out to center field. Keith Miller's out there, looks like he has the handle, but cannot find it. Loses the ball. Bachman ends up on third. Bobby Ojeda has now come in relief out of the bullpen. The third Mets pitcher. Right now, let's get it back to Kansas City.
So an offensive game up in New York, and a low-scoring one here, at least for the Royals so far, as Kevin Seitzer leads off the bottom of the 4th by popping out. Mike Devereaux handles it in center field.
This is the absolute dream for a sinker ball pitcher like Mulaki. He's got his control, he's got his lead, and the Royals have decided he's not going to walk anybody anymore. And they're up there hacking. This game could zip right along from a Mulaki standpoint. If you're the Royals, you'd like to start making him work at least a little bit in here, force him to throw a few pitches under pressure. Ooh, that dugout's getting more disgusting by the moment.
Well, here's a guy that has put the look of disgust on the face of a lot of pitchers over the years. George Brett, and then Bo Jackson. This is the middle inning when the Royals would like to make some noise. They don't want Mulaki to skate his way through the meat of that order a second time. But it looks like he will as Bradley camps under this one. 2 down. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of Major League Baseball and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form without the express written consent of Major League Baseball.
About now, the dugout would like to have Bo Jackson take a pitch or two.
And then take one out of here somewhere. Breaking ball in there, and Mulaki ahead of him.
Bo, however, does not qualify as the most patient man in the major leagues.
Well, in football, he hits the holes quickly. He's not going to sit around in the batter's box very long. He has hit some unbelievable shots in this ballpark. And there's one low and away, 2 balls and a strike. I saw him tie a ball game here 2 years ago as a pinch hitter in the bottom of the 9th inning on a ball that hit up the hill in left field over the 385 mark, about 3/4 of the way up to the pennant flags. They were estimating 450 to 470 feet on that shot. Well, right below the lights that light the flags up out there. Now it's 3-1, so look out here. And Mulaki was not going to give in to Bo Jackson. That's the second time he's fallen way behind Bo in the count. First time he walked him on 4 pitches, that time on 5.
Normally when you're down 3 runs in a game, the steal's out of the question. But here's a different situation. You want to make Mulaki work a little bit. You've got your stolen base king at first base, Bo Jackson, and you want to try to chip away at him. If you can get Jackson to second and get a bloop someplace or a seeing eye ground ball, you could chip away at that lead.
Tartabull almost left the yard with a long fly his first time, and he was thinking right center field again.
Mulaki did not get that ball where he wanted it. That ball was up and out. Tartabull missed one of his pitches.
This is a hitter with big RBI potential. Another pitch up, back to the screen. We showed you earlier today Tartabull's 18 homers and 62 RBIs from a year ago. In the previous 2 years put together, he had hit 60 homers and driven home 203.
This is one of the new trends in baseball. 0-2. People hardly ever used to run, but with 2 outs and 0-2, managers will often pick this count to run out.
Right field line out of play. Bo Jackson had the shortest lead I've ever seen him take anywhere, about 3 feet off the bag on that pitch.
Now, one thing I don't understand is, fine if you're not going to go, But don't just tell the defense, I'm not going, by just taking about a step and a half off first base and standing there. Come on, Bo.
And in this ballpark with 2 outs, 1 in the gap, scores a run almost every time. Now they pitch out as Bo gave it a delayed look. He was just hanging around the bag and then took off. The pitch out took place and he got back.
Now the wheels turn. Adrian Garrett, the third base coach, flashes signals.
That was a stare, scary to pitchers and linebackers. Tartabull just trying to make contact to stay alive. Royals hit the ball well in the spring, a .290 team average. They hit 14 homers in 14 ball games as they finished 7-6-1. The Orioles hit only .241 as they finished 6-8. 1-2 delivery in the dirt. Tettleton slides over to keep it in front. There's the offensive problems the Royals experienced a year ago, and look how many times they were shut out. John Wathan's team, though, after 5 of those shutouts, came back the next day and scored 10 or more runs. But 18, way too many. Now on 2-2, there it goes.
Just like a good Bob Carpenter forearm, it hit and bit right on the hill.
But this one went a lot further, and we've got a ball game again. 3-2 now.
One of those Malachi walks finally came back to haunt him. And you know, Bob, we talked earlier in that at bat that Malachi was getting the ball up in the strike zone, and that's the wrong place to tartable, kids.
That was up in big man's territory, halfway up the hill.
Belt high, right out over the plate. Not much movement. Hello, BP.
And here's Jim Eisenreich. Eisenreich went to left field for the fly ball his first time. There's no breeze blowing at Royal Stadium now, but it wouldn't have made any difference with that shot. Down low again, 2-0, and Danny Tartabull on day 1 has to feel good about that one. He has to have a big year for the Royals to catch Oakland. And Eisenreich hits one into short right field. Orsilac is in, Ripken out, Billy will take it, and the inning is over. But with 2 outs, the walk and the long homer by Danny Tartabull gets this one back to a 1-run game. Orioles 3, Royals 2.
The Oakland A's, world champions last year, lost their designated hitter. Dave Parker moved over to the Milwaukee Brewers. In action, his first at bat with the Brewers, facing Melito Perez. Pulls one through the hole on the right side. Dave Parker with a base hit, but the game is scoreless. It's in the second inning. Back to Bob and Norm.
Here in Kansas City, we go to the top of the 5th inning. Now the lead of the Orioles down to 1 as Mike Devereaux leads off against Brett Saberhagen, who just delivered his 72nd pitch of the day. And we want to keep you updated on that because he is forecast to throw around 100 today in this opening day outing. Devereaux singling to left field his first time. And the big breaking ball just misses. Saberhagen thought he had a strike, but it's 2-1.
You know, Bob, the Orioles still own the scoreboard 3-2, but the Royals own the momentum. Saberhagen has looked very strong the last couple innings, and Malachi seemed to have trouble with location last inning.
Fastball hit into left field. Bo Jackson backing up, and about 360 feet away has it. Mike Devereaux, O to B McDowell, a couple of the outstanding athletes out of ASU. Barry Bonds, another, out of that Arizona State program. And now it's down to the number 9 man, Bill Ripken.
Well, and of course, Reggie Jackson came out of there.
Saw Reggie in Anaheim the other night. He is working on TV for the Angels with another former major leaguer, Joe Torre.
Tell you what.
And I tell you what, he looks like he's been in the weight room lately. You should see Reggie.
Tell you what, Reggie's happy he doesn't have to face Brett Saberhagen anymore. He was 0 for 22 lifetime against Saberhagen.
Look at that nasty fastball running right in on the hands of Ripken. And after fouling that ball off, Billy took a look down to the bat to see if it had splintered on him. Saberhagen really sawed him off. Bob Malacky pondering the situation. Up the middle. That's what Ripken has to do to be successful. He's not a pull hitter who's going to drive the ball a lot. But on this field, using the turf and going up the middle, he has Baltimore's 5th hit of the day and their first base hit since Devereaux singled in the 2nd inning. Bill Bradley hasn't left the infield with one yet. He's grounded back to the pitcher, fouled out to George Brett the other time. Bill Bradley, a .290 career hitter, but last year he too faded in the 2nd half. You can look at the Orioles finishing just 2 games back of Toronto and say, gee, Cal Ripken hit under 200. This guy hit .236. Fastball up and in, a ball and a strike. There are some very real reasons why the Orioles didn't win the East last year, but again, as Norm chronicled for you earlier, really impressive that they were even in a position to challenge mighty Toronto the last week of September.
The Oriole turnaround was just incredible last year. This is a club that was about as hideous as you could get a baseball team the year before. They started 0-21 and 6-34. But they tightened their defense remarkably. This club only allowed 42 unearned runs last year. And they jumped their run production in 1989 from 1988. From 550 runs to 708.
A rise of 40% or so.
You know, when you jump your runs 158 won a game, and you cut your unearned runs by 45 a game, you can win 33 more games.
And a lot of them will be 1-run ball games. Saberhagen now missing up and in with a couple of fastballs. That fills the count to Bradley. We'll see how Robinson plays it here. 1 run up, middle innings, a runner on, and a 3-2 count with good speed at the plate.
Be surprised if he didn't really turn Ripken loose. Frank's a pretty aggressive manager.
There he goes. High chopper. This is trouble. Saberhagen can only wait for it, and no play at first base. An artificial turf single for Phil Bradley.
The right fielder, Joe
What
Orioles.
a teaser little bouncers like this are. You can't do anything. You just got to wait for him to come down. Saberhagen hoping that Ripken would turn second. Problem was, nobody was there had he turned second.
Orioles with 2 on, 1 out. Joe Orsilac, the hitter. Orsilac's hit the ball in the air twice today. Once to center, once to left. 0 for 2. Saberhagen still with the baby face despite that 7-year career in the major leagues. Runners at second, Ripken, and at first, Bradley. We talked last inning about that even-odd thing. In even-numbered years, 84, 86, 88, Brett Saberhagen is 31-39 with a 3.81 ERA. There's a little liner. Easy for Cal Ripken. Runners alertly back to their bags without being doubled off. And that's 2 down. But then the other side of that is, in odd-numbered years, Brett Saberhagen in 85, 87, and 89 combined. 61 in 22 with a good ERA of 2.79. And as he nears 100 pitches, Steve Farr, formerly the closer, now a setup man for Mark Davis, getting loose.
What a luxury to have a guy who saved 18 games to wind up as your setup man. He'd be the closer for half the teams in the big leagues.
Fastball up.
In fact, can you imagine with the bullpen problems Whitey Herzog's having just down the road, how he must be drooling to think the Royals have 3 guys on their team that combined to save 80 games last year. Montgomery, Farr, and Mark Davis.
Davis with 44 of them for the Padres. High chopper, charging. And a nice play by Stillwell. That's the AstroTurf shortstop style. Cal Ripken to his counterpart. We're halfway through the ball game at Royal Stadium in Kansas City. Baltimore on top of the Royals by a score of 3-2. With Norm Hitchcock, Bob Carpenter, and a tight ball game, and we may have seen the last of Brett Saberhagen. We'll have to wait until the 6th inning to find out. Kurt Stillwell will lead off for the Royals in the bottom of the 5th inning, and a fastball up and away from Bob Milacki. Steve Farr, as we showed you, had been working in the Kansas City bullpen.
Well, Saberhagen's thrown 90 pitches. And if his limit's 100, why run him out there to pitch to a hitter or 2? Why not just let the reliever come in and start his own inning?
And the Royals are back in the ball game.
And if there's a team with depth in its bullpen, it's this club.
Stillwell grounded out to second base his initial time up. And he takes a fastball right down the middle. Royals only have 1 hit, but it was a loud one an inning ago from Danny Tartabull. The plate 2, and make this a tight ball game. Royals have been out hit by the O's 6-1.
Oh, beauty. Beautiful changeup by Milacki.
Milacki from Trenton, New Jersey. Originally, he goes 6'4", 225. And from that shot behind home plate, you can see he's an imposing presence coming at you off that hill.
Tell you what, though, he's having more and more trouble with location. He couldn't throw strikes to Jackson. He threw 3 pitches above the belt to Tartabull. Now he's gone full with the leadoff hitter here to Stillwell. Those are all negative signs if you're Al Jackson, the pitching coach of the Orioles.
Fastball in, base hit right field.
Bobby, with the signs to the last 4 hitters, you start to wonder if Milacki's going to finish this inning.
And we're going to see this a lot early in the season, Norm, because these guys just didn't get the work they needed in spring training. And the 5th or 6th innings are going to be very telling innings for a lot of starters through the first 5 or 6 weeks of the season.
And telling innings for people like the 2 we just saw, pitching coach Al Jackson and manager Frank Robinson. You'd make moves in the first few weeks of the season you wouldn't normally make on a team.
Frank White, the hitter.
Bunt? What do you think, bunt?
Worthington thinks so at third base. Frank showed no signs of laying one down and took one low and away.
Frank's being bothered by his right knee, had a cortisone shot in it. They thought he was fine. It was so good. Frank was playing basketball in the offseason. His knee felt so good. He came to spring training and it swelled up on him, and Kansas City a bit worried.
He was a free agent after last season. Didn't know if he was going to come back here. There was talk that Frank might go to Japan and play. But they've got a good prospect at AAA, Terry Shumpert at Omaha. He hit in the 240s last year, so evidently they don't feel he's quite ready yet. So Frank White is the man here for at least another year at second base in Kansas City. His 17th major league season. And a dry foul down the left field line.
Whoa. Another pitch in a bad location. A fat one right up around the corneas. Look at where this pitch is. Now this is a sinker baller throwing this pitch. Bad spot.
Bad thing for Frank White was he was too quick on the pitch.
Yep. Everybody in the cheap seats, I'd be poised and ready to scramble.
White only hit 3 homers. Or rather, only hit 2 homers and drove home 36 a year ago. This one jammed him. And straight back it went. A ball and 2 strikes. Joe Price is the left-hander. Brian Holton, the right-hander. Former Dodger, former Red, throwing out there.
Joe Price is a former almost everything.
Well, that's true. Most of his career in Cincinnati. There's Al Jackson. Pitch out. 2-2 count. Al Jackson, of course, part of one of the great batteries of all time in Major League Baseball.
With
Choo-Choo Coleman of the old Mets. The expansion Mets back in the early 60s. What a bunch.
Choo-Choo Coleman.
2-2 delivery.
Got him.
Did he hold up? He did not, says Durwood Merrill at first base. Frank White was committed, tried to pull it back and could not. And that's Malaki's first strikeout of the day.
The catcher, Babu.
Yeah, bat through the zone. The mayor of Hooks, Durwood Merrill. Hooks, Texas.
Yeah, he had the hook for the hitter that time, too. You're out of here. Here's Bob Boone. Left center, well hit, but Devereaux with plenty of room and time. 2 down. That's not the gap you want to hit the ball to against the Orioles. With Devereaux and Bradley closing, there's not much space out there.
If you're going to hit the gap on this club, you better put less air under it than Boone did. Either that or you better hit it where Tartable hit it up on the grass.
Back to the top of the order for another man who's got some speed, Gerald Perry. He walked his first time up, grounded back to the pitcher, and Malaki is 1 out away from getting his 5 innings in to qualify for the win. A requirement that has bounced back and forth during the spring. First it was 3 innings. Now the standard 5 again. Tettleton keeping that one in front of him, preventing Stillwell from advancing.
What's the roster size today? That changed a few times too, didn't it?
Yeah. Mickey Tettleton, good defensive catcher. They've got another very good defensive catcher on this squad in Bob Melvin. And there's a pitch up, hit into right field. Orsolak charging, Stillwell around second, and he will go to third. Runners at the corners with 2 down.
Again, the location is very, very bad on this ball from Malaki. The ball is way up, in fact, out of the strike zone. Perry hits a ball about cap high. Now, for a lot of pitchers, up wouldn't be as bad as it is for the sinker balling Malaki. Worthington may have gotten a signal from the bench to come in and talk to Malaki.
This is a good situation for the Royals because Kevin Seitzer is a guy who simply does not strike out very often. They don't want him hitting the ball in the air either, which is what he's done twice today. Both to center field, but he's liable to put the bat on the ball and give you a chance to tie the game. Breaking ball misses.
When I asked the Royals what their most pleasant surprise of the spring was, they said Seitzer, and I said, how in the world could that be a surprise? And they said, because he's not taking his top hand off the bat anymore. He used to just spray the ball to right center, and they said he really drove the ball to left field better than they'd ever seen him hit the ball before. Like that.
But about 2 feet foul down the left field line. That would have cleared the bases and given the Royals the lead because Gerald Perry was way down towards second base in a hurry. John Wathan during the spring flip-flopped Perry and Seitzer 1 and 2. Had Seitzer to lead off some, but I really think he likes the speed of Perry better in the number 1 slot and the bat handling and contact of Seitzer in the number 2 hole.
Well, also, you can't bring in a left-hand pitcher to pitch back-to-back to Perry and Brett. When Perry leads off and Seitzer hits second, you go left, right, left.
Oh, right at the third baseman, Worthington. He moved to his left and had the glove there. So the Royals, for the first time today, put hits together. It does not pay off. They lead 2. They've stranded 3. And after 5, the Orioles still on top. Orioles out hitting KC 6-3 and leading 3-2. A battle of homers here today. Sam Horn's 3-run shot. Danny Tartable's 2-run homer. Bo Jackson scored ahead of Tartable. Back in that 4th inning. And the 6th is underway. And Brett Saberhagen is still in the ballgame facing Mickey Tettleton.
Bo is chewing his nails there. Bo usually chews something else out in left field. He's addicted to sunflower seeds.
There's a breaking ball. Tettleton couldn't hold up. And he not only eats them out there, but he stores them as well.
Yes. Just in case winter's a little early this year, Bo has stored up for perhaps a long inning. Problem is, Bo's going to have to scoot about 25 yards back to his stash of sunflower seeds.
Here's the 1-2 delivery and a strike 3 call. Out of Saberhagen's 4 strikeouts today, 3 of them on called third strikes.
That's now 94 pitches from Saberhagen. All of us a bit surprised, quite honestly, to see Saberhagen out here this inning. Farr seemed ready to go, but during the inning, it appeared that somebody consulted Saberhagen in the dugout, said, "You feel okay?" And apparently Saberhagen said, "Yeah."
Brett told me this morning that coming out of spring training, even though he didn't get the work that he normally did, he felt real strong, no injury problems whatsoever, and he was ready to go. So with the adrenaline pumping, he's out there for a 6th inning. Charging, nice play. Seitzer throws out. Randy Milligan on the run.
Oh, Saberhagen getting just what he needed here. An extremely easy inning. Nice quick short hop play here by Seitzer.
And the key was the early decision to charge the ball.
You'll see that play made more on artificial surface because the hop's truer. The infielder can charge that ball feeling he'll get a true hop off the artificial that might not come as true off the grass.
Each man has won a battle in this Saberhagen-Horn matchup. And Sam Horn, for the 2nd time today, goes on safely. Little left field cue shot. Now, most hitters aren't strong enough to get that ball out of the infield. Sam Horn is.
Sam was actually fooled on that ball and sort of flicked it out there.
2 for 3 on opening day. He's aboard with 2 down. Craig Worthington, the hitter, and the Royals will not hold the big Sam Horn at first. George Brett playing behind him. Some folks feel that in the decade of the 90s, which is upon us, Craig Worthington will replace Gary Gaetti as the best third baseman in the American League. Off the fists, dumping one into left center. And on a couple of quiet hits, the Orioles have a 2-out rally going.
The center fielder, Mike Devereaux.
If you're a pitcher, an inning like this drives you crazy. You've really gotten 4 people out this inning. The first 2, then you fooled Horn, and he sort of cue-balled one between third and short, and then you fisted Worthington, and he blooped one. Now your worry is Devereaux will find a gap, and both of those cheapos score on you.
And this is the kind of guy that can top one on the infield and beat it out. Breaking ball for a strike. Saberhagen's key to success, middle innings, he's getting that breaking pitch in for strikes. He was not doing that early in the game, and that breaking ball for a strike was pitch number 100. Another one, this one up and in, a ball and a strike.
You know, Roland Heeman has really done a good job on this team. Identifying kids who are stuck in places that had some potential, making his moves for them, shuffling people in and out of here, and he's got a pretty good looking club.
Roland Heeman subscribes to that theory that when you look at a ball club like the Orioles, the total is greater than the sum of the parts put together to achieve that total.
Well, we can mention some teams who are the opposite.
Exactly. Frank White ducking in behind Sam Horn again. Time was asked by the hitter and given by Don Denkinger, so the pitch does not count. And it's always unusual to see a pitcher go home with the second baseman standing on the bag. It opens up the whole right side of the infield. So the count stays at a ball and a strike.
Tough to pick Sam off when he won't get off the dirt at second base, isn't it?
Devereaux fouls one upper deck right side. A ball and 2 strikes.
By the way, if Saberhagen does not win this game, it will continue another one of Saberhagen's odd career-long trends. His lack of success in the daytime. He is 16-18 in his career during the day, and outrageous 76-43 at night.
Fastball, strike 3, swinging. 2 Ks in the inning, 2 singles. Orioles lead those runners, and they've stranded 5. We may have seen the last of Brett Saberhagen. If he leaves, it'll be with his team trailing by a run.
Wednesday night, explosive Bo Jackson settles in for his springtime hobby. The Royals take on Ironman Cal Ripken and the Orioles Wednesday night at 8:30 Eastern, live on ESPN.
At Fenway Park in Boston, the Tigers and the Red Sox. It comes down to the final out of the game with the bases loaded. Lee Smith comes on in relief instead of Jeff Reardon. Interesting note, you thought they were trying to trade Lee Smith. Well, they could be shopping him. He picks up the save as he strikes out Alan Trammell. The Red Sox win it 5-2. The first win of the season goes to Roger Clemens as Wade Boggs got his 1600th career hit. A reminder, up next it will be the Padres and the Dodgers from Los Angeles in Dodger Stadium. Right now, let's get it back to the game you're watching. This one in Royal Stadium, the Orioles and the Royals.
Thank you, John, and welcome back to Royal Stadium, Kansas City. 3-2 the Orioles over the Royals. Bottom of the 6th coming up. And a new hurler after 9 years in the National League. Over to Boston last year, and now with Baltimore, Joe Price.
Cincinnati for 6 years, and the Giants and Boston. He's 33 years old. Born near the fabulous Forum in Inglewood, California. Joe Price signed as a free agent by the Orioles on the 11th of January. Mixes a fastball, curveball, and slider. Will be a setup man for Greg Olson out of their pen this year.
But Olson is not entirely healthy right now. Sore elbow, stiff shoulder in the spring. There could be a bit of a bullpen by committee for the O's for a while. There's the breaking ball for a strike to George Brett. George is 0 for 2 today. Hit into a 6-4-3 and flied out to left. So he's taken the ball to the left side against the right-hander twice. Fastball up and in.
Bit of a nervy move here by Frank Robinson, bringing Price. When you consider that right-handers Bo Jackson and Danny Tartabull follow George Brett in this lineup.
And Eisenreich, who hits lefties better than right-handers.
Very well. That's exactly right. It would have figured to bring a righty in this situation.
Brett pops up left side. Waiting for it, Phil Bradley.
You know, you discussed the Baltimore bullpen, and the Orioles yesterday made a couple of moves that are significant to this team. They put 2 pitchers on the disabled list. They put Mark Williamson, an outstanding setup man, on the disabled list. He has a strained gluteus muscle. Your gluteus is located in your maximus. And they also put Ben McDonald on the disabled list with a strained oblique muscle. That's the one that connects your rib cage to your pelvis. He's got a strained love handle.
And that's a combination unmatched ever before. There's McDonald, the #1 draft choice out of LSU. Big, hard-throwing right-hander. He will be something to watch in the future. Bo Jackson has walked twice, scored once as he steps in. Upstairs from Price, a ball and a strike. The Royals have been out hit 8-3, but with Bo and Tartabull. batting here in the 6th. One swing could equalize this one in a hurry. And Joe Price had better get the ball down a bit. There's Tartabull, who homered his last time up.
You know, Bo did not draw for a man of his power. Many walks last year, 1 every 13 at bats.
3-1.
On the verge of drawing a 3rd straight today. This is a bad gentleman to walk in a 1-run game.
And he was all over that pitch, upstairs right side. And the count is filled at 3-2. Bo, on his first time up, walked on 4 pitches. Then he walked on 5 pitches. And now he's worked it to a full count. Fisted. He's got a chance to beat it out. Here comes Worthington. No play.
Let's see if Bo handles the lead situation differently here, Bob. He didn't seem to be aggressively moving off the bag at all, and look where he is now. He's a full 2 steps further off than he was before.
Danny Tartabull has hit the ball more than 800 feet here today. Fly ball to the right field wall about 380 feet away, and then a 400-foot plus home run up that grass terrace in left field.
No action in the Baltimore pen. This is Price's inning to get through.
No balls, 1 strike. Had Bo moving back to the bag, did Joe Price that time. Neutralized him pretty well. High breaking ball at the letters, 1-2.
As far as Danny Tartabull's start this season versus last, his 2nd at bat this year, a home run. Last year, 1 homer in his first 77 at bats.
Fly ball right field, curving foul. And that one dangerously close to the pole as far as the Orioles are concerned. You knew it was going foul, but would he get it to the foul pole first?
Well, you know, you can hit a cheap home run if you drop it right into the corner down the right field line. And Tartabull came preciously close to doing that.
The only other cheap homers in this part, the kind Willie Wilson used to hit.
Yes.
Little liners into center field. Guy takes a chance, misses it, and rolls 410 feet. There's a base hit to right field. Bo Jackson around second. He's going to third. Jackson and Tartabull on base. 5 out of 6 at bats today combined.
Tartabull doing a wonderful job on this ball. It's a high breaking ball, and he just lashes it to right. Did not try to pull that ball. And good luck figuring Bo doesn't stop at second. Now, Bobby, what would look like an advantage Baltimore lefty to lefty is not. This is the best left-hand hitter against a left-hand pitcher in the major leagues. 335 career average.
Breaking ball outside to Jim Eisenreich. And the Baltimore bullpen is busy again. Brian Holton was up earlier. And Eisenreich pops it up. There's a play for Tettleton. That's the 2nd out of the inning, and a huge one it is. 2 outs here in the 6th. Let's go to the studio and John Saunders.
deepest team in the major leagues pitching-wise. Well, they're showing it today because Alejandro Pena was their 5th pitcher. Bobby Bonilla with the single scores Andy Van Slyke to make it a 9-3 game. Julio Machado is the Mets' 6th pitcher of the day. Let's get it back to KC.
All right, John, good one on the road for the Bucks today.
Nice for the Mets fans, though. They get a chance to see their entire pitching staff.
Just what you want on opening day. There's Brian Holton, the right-hander who was up earlier when the current pitcher, Joe Price, was also getting ready. That was a big out for Price, and Kurt Stillwell, the hitter. He singled to right field his last time. Way upstairs, Tettleton reaching high to grab it.
Kansas City being frustrated of late. 2 on, 2 out. Last inning, Seitzer hits a shot that's caught.
Down the line, fair ball. The game is tied, and we'll watch Tartabull, who's approaching third. Here he comes. Kansas City leads.
Stillwell, a dynamite pressure hitter, as we told you earlier. Last year hit .296 with runners on base, and he does it again. You know, a good relay here, and Tartabull's in some trouble, but a very, very poor throw from Cal Ripken here. It bounces twice and is off the line.
Royals with 2 runs on 3 hits. It's not over yet. Stillwell took third on the throw after the 2-run double, and Frank White is the hitter. Now the Kansas City hits are up to 6. Their run total up to 4, and they lead for the first time today. Breaking ball misses. Frank Robinson's team led 3-0 at one point. Malacky had a rocky 4th, and now in the 6th, O's behind for the first time. And Frank's feet were flying all over the place when he saw that pitch up. John Wathan's Royals opportunistic in this inning, putting 3 hits together for 2 scores. Baltimore defense absolutely straight away. Popped up left field line, long way for Bradley. Ripken and Worthington can't reach it either.
Very seldom will you see a high pop foul in this park not caught. This is a park that's a hitter's dream because there's not much room around here. Joe Price figured that ball's caught. He said, I'm headed for the dugout here. No such luck, Joe.
Frank White has won 8 Gold Gloves. Hit .256 last year, but he only had 25 extra base hits. He doesn't need one here, though. Just a little contact is all they're looking for. We told you about only the 2 homers. So very little beyond first base for the veteran. There's Cal Ripken Sr. pondering the defensive alignment. This one will get out of play left side.
Now you wonder if Kansas City will today employ what is their theory for winning baseball games this year. Saberhagen's gone his 6. Now Farr and Montgomery and Mark Davis to close it out. That's the theory for Kansas City. Get ahead, get it to the 7th inning, and give the ball to the bullpen.
Swinging a foul tip off the mask of Don Denkinger.
Now, Frank White's not having very good hacks here, is he? Seems off balance, has swung at some bad pitches. Ooh, hey, it's a 7-10 split. He caught a little Mickey, too.
Here's the 2-2 delivery. Big breaking ball. White does well to lay off that one. And it's in the dirt, 3-2, and a nice play by Mickey Tettleman to go along with it with his cage still rattled. Long one to left field. Bradley to the wall. It is gone.
Well, White wasn't having very good hacks, and then Price grooves one. Now, as Bradley chases it, watch the catch if we can see it by the Orioles bullpen catcher. Watch him. Thanks very much. It's a strike.
And they want a curtain call from Frank White. He says, Tartable, you didn't take one. Why should I? Danny's going to make him, though, I think. Bob Boone is the hitter with a called strike on a fastball. You know, it's like Frank White, though, to not call attention to himself.
His 15th straight opening day start.
And now Bob Boone steps out. He says, come on, Frank. Shut him down so I can concentrate on him.
There he is. No, wait a minute.
That was Bo Jackson.
That was Bo Jackson. Was it Jackson or was it Tartable that stepped out? One or the other.
It was Bo. There's a breaking ball, and it's 0-2 to Bob Boone. Well, Whitey Herzog once said that Frank White was the best second baseman in Major League history. They'll have to take that banner down because it's in play. Umpires stopping the action. Frank White went 104 games into the month of August before he homered last year, and that smile tells you what he did on opening day, 1990.
Hard to believe.
9th of April. Bob Boone is gone on 3 strikes.
Hard to believe this inning started with an Oriole 3-2 lead, but the price wasn't right.
Not in this inning, as Kansas City got 4 runs on 4 hits. They lead 6-3.
I'm Chris Berman along with Tommy Hutton on a sun-soaked afternoon at Dodger Stadium in Los Angeles, California. The Dodgers home opener against the San Diego Padres. Coming up next, Bruce Hurst working for San Diego against Oral Hershiser for the Dodgers. We're expecting a beautiful day and a great game. But right now, let's go back to Kansas City with Bob Carpenter.
All right, Chris, thank you very much. We've got a great game here, but your weather is a lot better, especially now. As Steve Fark comes in to pitch the 7th inning for Kansas City in relief of Brett Saberhagen, it is raining again here in KC, but for the first time since we came on the air.
Steve Farr is a guy, really interesting guy. Steve Farr pitched forever in the minor leagues. Niagara Falls, Charleston, Salem, Buffalo, Portland, Buffalo, Portland, Buffalo, Buffalo, Maine, up to the Indians, down to the Indians released him, and Steve Farr said, that's it, I've gone home, I'm gonna quit.
Little chopper over the mound, charging Stillwell, 1 out very quickly.
A friend of his coaching in the minor leagues called him and said, you know, the season had started. The 1985 season started, called him and said, hey, Steve, there's an opening at AAA. You want to try pitching at Omaha? And he said, well, I don't know, I'm in the welding business. All right. He comes back, he finds it. Since he's been back, this guy has saved over 50 games and won 21 more the last 4 years out of the Royals bullpen.
And now he's a 6-year Major League veteran. That was Billy Ripken. He retired a moment ago. Phil Bradley at the plate now. Bradley a hit in 3 trips this afternoon. And the strike right into it. 1-1.
By the way, Steve Farr, admittedly, he'll be right at 34 when the season ends, but he is a free agent after this season. He's a pretty good pitcher.
Well, he's lost his closer's role here, which is where relievers make the big money, and Mark Davis knows all about that, to the tune of 16 mil. And it'll be interesting to see, but Royals have a winning combination here. Sometimes guys will be happy to stay put when they have that winning combo with a ball club that gets into postseason play. Can they do it at the expense of Oakland, though, in this division? There's that multi-million-dollar man, Mark Davis.
We may see him today.
In a 3-run game, an inning max. If it gets to 2 runs or 1 run, we'll certainly see him today. And Bradley pounds one to Stillwell. You know, suddenly the line of Brett Saberhagen looks pretty good after he departs 6 innings, 3 runs, 8 hits, 0 walks, 4 strikeouts, and a chance to be 1-0. And with 2 outs and the bases empty, Joe Orsilac will be the hitter. Orsilac is lined to short most recently, fly balls to center field and left field. Looking to bunt in the air, lands foul, Farr pounces, strike 1. Steve Farr has a good assortment of breaking stuff. His curve is his best pitch. He's got a good slider. He'll spot the fastball. He had his right knee scoped last August, and really it spelled a bad end to the season for him. He had saves in his first 10 opportunities last year. After 26 games, an ERA of 1.95. By season's end, though, it was 4.12. And he was averaging 15 base runners per 9 innings pitched.
Ooh.
Ouch. Relievers are supposed to keep guys off base, not put them on. You have to think the knee injury had something to do with it, but if he's back healthy, Mark Davis is going to have the table set for him a lot of times by this right-hander. Breaking ball inside, but did he go? Yes, says Tim McClelland at third base. A ball and 2 strikes, and Farr tries for a 1-2-3 inning now. Even if the bat's pointing straight down, it was still through the hitting zone. Fastball, and he got him. Tailed it away, and a 1-2-3-7. It's 7th inning stretch time at Royal Stadium in Kansas City, and the home team now in control. In 1985, it was the I-70 World Series between the Royals and the Cardinals. After being down 3-1, Kansas City won 3 in a row behind Brett Saberhagen in Game 7. And for Dick Hauser and company, it was Kansas City's first ever World Championship. And here we are, same ballpark, 1990. The Royals on opening day on top of Baltimore, 6-3. Top of the order in the 7th inning. Gerald Perry leads off. Up the middle, base hit, leadoff man aboard. Perry is 2 for 3, and he's been on base 3 times. You might say the leadoff DH has done his job today. Ironically, that World Series featured as the opposition Whitey Herzog of the Cardinals, who built the winning tradition here in Kansas City. Was not around by the time the Royals first got to the series in '80 behind Jim Fry. Phillies beat him. But he certainly had his share of World Series appearances down the road 250 miles away at Busch Memorial Stadium.
That series also prominently featured Don Denkinger, the home plate umpire, today.
Controversial call at first base in Game 6. Royals took advantage and then pounded Andahar and the Cardinals to win Game 7. Right side, great play, Milligan. He can only get one. He thought about going to second with Cal Ripken staring at him, but he decided to get the sure one on a dandy play.
This was the trademark of the Orioles all last year, that they made all the routine plays and some that were very far from routine. Randy Milligan, never known as some kind of spectacular glove man, but this is a spectacular play. Shortened up, holding the runner.
And one thing about '85 we didn't mention, of course, the year of the killer tarp.
Yes, that ate Vince Coleman. The things that happen in baseball.
They've been pretty proud of that tarp over the years in St. Louis. It comes up out of the ground and covers the infield. They didn't know it was going to cover the leadoff man that year. Here's George Brett. George looking for his first base hit of 1990. And he takes a breaking ball that's a little bit inside.
Price has now gone one full time through the order. He came into pitch last inning and faced Brett to begin it. He's given up 5 hits and one other ball that was a shot caught by Milligan.
Fastball up high as Brett steps in with 2,528 career hits. An even 1,300 runs, 1,311 RBI, and a .310 career hitter. Milligan will have an easy one for this time. 2 outs, and over to third goes Gerald Perry. But trouble looms again for the Orioles because the cleanup man is up, followed by the number 5 man, Jackson and Tarnable. And Bo's not even going near the plate because he thinks a pitching change is coming here. And Frank Robinson heads for the mound.
The Royals have had 2 multi-run innings today, 2 in the 4th and 4 in the 6th, and both rallies ignited by Bo Jackson. A 2-out walk before Tartable's homer in the 4th, and a 1-out bleeder single that started a 4-run inning in the 6th.
Brian Holton coming in for the Orioles when we return to Kansas City.
ESPN Major League Baseball, brought to you by Levi's 505 and 506 jeans, and by Budweiser, Beechwood Age, for that clean, crisp taste. This Bud's for you.
Bottom of the 7th inning at Royal Stadium, Kansas City, with Norm Hitchcock, Bob Carpenter on opening day, and the 3rd Baltimore pitcher of the day, the former Dodger, Brian Holton.
And a former first-round draft pick of the Dodgers in 1978. From 1981 to 1988, he sort of bounced back and forth on flights from Albuquerque to Los Angeles. Never really ever did settle into the Dodgers situation, and was dealt over to Baltimore along with Ken Howell and Juan Bell in the deal for Eddie Murray. Throws a cut fastball, a curve, and a changeup.
And that second pitch is the one that people put stars next to because that's the old Dodger organization bred curveball. Runner at third, 2 down. Bo Jackson, the hitter, on base 3 times today. Fastball for a strike.
Juan Bell, the guy that came over with him, was the guy that had the most original excuse for reporting late to spring training this year, saying that when the lockout ended and just as he was about to leave, he found out his wife had sent all of his clothes to the dry cleaners.
Off the end of the bat, 0-2.
Happens to you all the time. You get up Monday morning, you got a game to go to, you go to your closet and you say, darn, where are all my clothes?
And I don't have that many either.
And let's face it, Bob, spring training wardrobes aren't exactly Brooks Brothers in this league. I mean, it's not like, you know.
More like Mel Brooks,
all
actually.
7 of my suits are gone.
0-2 delivery. Perry down the line at third. Jackson waiting, and the fastball is upstairs. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Speaking of Juan Bell, he was the guy that was supposed to move Cal Ripken over to third base last year. Not necessary anymore with the emergence of Worthington. Breaking ball low and inside, 2-2. And yes, he is related to George Bell. Bo Jackson today, 2 walks, a single, 2 runs scored. Fastball up and in, and they don't want to face Tartable again, do they, with a couple of men on?
Well, the alternative is throwing Bo a strike, though.
It better be one that's moving if it's a fastball.
Or it'll be moving.
Nothing but breaking balls. And Jackson on base for the 4th time.
Now here you've got a real danger. because you've got very, very good speed at third base in Parry. Jackson at first with mercurial speed. Don't be surprised if Jackson steals second here. Now the choice, well, you say, well, they could walk Tarnable. That's true, but then you get Eisenreich with the bases loaded. That's no fun either.
And that's why Jim Eisenreich is batting behind Danny Tarnable this season, as opposed to last year when he had no protection. Fastball outside corner. Another fastball, this one narrowly missing outside. Leading off the inning, Gerald Perry singled, went around to third base on a couple of ground balls, and then with 2 outs, the man over at first, Bo Jackson, walked. Breaking ball off the end of the bat. Nicely done by Brian Holton, who throws out Tarnable, and the threat is over. For the Royals in the 7th, a single and a walk. They strand 2. They've left 5. But Kansas City leads 6-3 to the 8th. We go. Royal Stadium, Kansas City. Rain has stopped. Clouds overhead. But not a bad day for baseball. Looks pretty good for the home team right now as Cal Ripken leads off in the top of the 8th. Orioles down by 3 as Steve Farr works his second inning. And if you're Kansas City, ideal situation. Challenge Ripken. He can't hit a 3-run homer.
Now, one other thing is stopped besides the rain, and that's the Oriole offense. After Sam Horn hit one into the lake in the second inning, the Orioles have been shut out ever since. Ooh.
Fastball runs up and in, and that's not what Steve Farr wanted to do. That's as bad as walking the leadoff man. So the Orioles have the tying run now to the on-deck circle. Mickey Tettleton will step in. Milligan in the on-deck circle will represent the tying run, and that's about the worst thing that could have happened to Kansas City. Mickey Tettleton fanned his last time, has singled and scored today in 3 trips. And from the Kansas City standpoint, good man for the double play if you can get the ground ball. But Farr delivers a high fastball. Couple of right-handers in the Kansas City bullpen. Jeff Montgomery on your right, Luis Aquino on your left. It's still a little early for Davis, but if they get another base runner, it won't be too early.
This is still probably Jeff Montgomery's inning. They want Davis to be a 1-inning pitcher. A lot of managers are going to that now. Bobby Valentine employed it very, very successfully with Jeff Russell last year, facing 3-4 guys an appearance.
I think Chuck Hartenstein, the Milwaukee pitching coach, who has a great closer up there, and Dan Plesac explained it best. He said, you want your closer in save situations at least 90% of the time. Thus, the short outings. And Plesac has certainly done a great job with the Brew Crew. Speaking of Milwaukee, Kansas City made a very strong bid for Robin Yount. Could not get him. They made a bid for Joe Carter. Could not get him. We'll see him later on ESPN today with the Padres at L.A. Breaking ball inside, fouled off.
Let's check back to the dugout, see if anybody's cleaned that area up from earlier in the game here. Oh, gee. Come on, coach. Look, oh, a Reese's Cup made it into the Orioles dugout. Wait a minute, guys. That's not health food.
2-2 delivery coming. Fastball, got him on the strikeout. Foul tip. Bob Boone, the great veteran, held on. Second strikeout for Farr. And let's go back to the studio and John Saunders.
You wonder why managers wanted a 27-man roster? The Mets using 7 pitchers today against the Pirates. That's Andy Van Slyke with his second home run of the day. Tough day out there for Lou Thornton, the former Blue Jay, chasing things around. Watch this one, Bobby Bonilla. Thornton thinks about getting a chance on this one, then no way. It is way back over top of the bullpen. 12-3 on 17 hits, back to Royal Stadium.
All right, John, a power show by the Bucks at Shea today. Randy Milligan, the hitter, with an 0-1 count here in KC. And the tying run will come to the plate as he singles to left field.
And guess who the tying run is? We've come around to Horn again.
Yes, sir. And it's taken a while because it's a big horn.
The designated hitter.
Now, here's the Royals' problem. Right now, they probably wish they had Larry McWilliams up in their bullpen, the lefty to pitch to the lefty, but they've got two righties throwing down there. So no matter what option they use here, Farr, Montgomery, or Aquino, all three are right-handed to pitch to a left-hand hitter. Oops. Now a little stalling is going on as a lefty jumps up and starts throwing for the Royals. We may have a visit to the mound here from an infielder.
Horn swings through a breaking ball.
I bet you John Watson is uncomfortable about this situation, Bob. He's got a really powerful left-hand hitter. I think you'd have to say this is the most powerful person. Whether he'll hit as many or not, that's another question. But this is the guy most capable when he hits it of launching it in this order.
And he's getting a steady diet of breaking balls from Steve Farr. One for a strike, that one down low. The count is even at 1-1. Runners at first and second, only one out, top of the 8th. Another breaking ball fouled outside first, and there won't be any way for Sam Horn to sneak one between George Brett and the line. George is hugging the line over there in the late innings. He's going to be right next to Durwood Merrill by the time he assumes his fielding position.
By the way, that lefty that jumped up quickly to get ready in the bullpen for the Royals is Mark Davis.
No Larry McWilliams herky-jerky out there now. It's all power in the person of the southpaw Williams, or rather Davis. Now that one back to the screen. Runners move up. Double play possibility erased, which is a key factor with Sam Horn slow at the plate. Wild pitch, it's ruled.
Looked like a splitter, didn't it?
I think it was a breaking ball because when it hit the dirt, you saw that reverse English on it. That's the thing catchers fear. When the ball hits in the dirt, the reverse English takes it away from them once they've shifted in front of the baseball. Runners at second and third, and a long one to right field toward the Royals bullpen, and this game is tied.
The failure to have a left-hand pitcher ready to face Sam Horn comes back to haunt John Wofford.
The hit batter leading off the inning was a bad omen. The homer by Horn, a great happening for Baltimore.
Farr with nothing on it, above the waist and on the outside corner. And our second shot into a bullpen.
Well, Sam almost let Mark Davis catch that one. Sam Horn, 2 homers, 6 runs batted in today. The hitter is Craig Worthington. Chopper, Seitzer charges. Throws him out. Only the second out of the inning. Joe Price is off the hook. He stood to be the loser until Horn lost that one over the right field fence. And now it's the pitchers of record Farr against Holton as Mike Devereaux steps in. Fastball in there.
This is exactly what wasn't supposed to happen to the Royals in the late going this year. 3-run leads into the 8th inning. Everyone figured we're locks on this club.
But they've got to get it to Mark Davis to lock it up. Breaking ball, pool cue shot off to the right side. 1-2. They're underway out in Los Angeles, and at the conclusion of this game, we'll be sending you live to Chris Berman and Tommy Hutton with the Padres playing at LA. Fastball inside.
one thing you don't want to do with Devereaux is fiddle with him. You want to get out of the inning here, because in a tie ball game, that would leave Ripken a light hitter leading off the 9th inning.
Here's the 2-2. Fastball. Right side out of play. There's Billy, the number 9 man in the order. And there's the disappointed Steve Farr, roughed up for a hit batter, a wild pitch, a single, and a homer in this inning. Little fly ball right side. Frank White cruising out. And finally, the top of the 8th comes to a close from the Kansas City standpoint. Orioles 3 runs on only 2 hits. Sam Horn, the big man, again here today. And we're locked up at 6, heading to the bottom of the 8th inning. Storyline, Kansas City. Danny Tartabull with a long homer. Stillwell with an RBI double for the Royals. And Frank White has hit one out, but today belongs to Sam Horn at the moment. A couple of 3-run shots. 6 RBIs here today.
The last 2 years with Boston, Sam Horn had a total of 2 homers and 12 runs batted in 115 at-bats. Give me 6.
4th pitcher of the day for Baltimore is Jay Aldridge.
Jay Aldridge has bounced around a bit in his major league career. Selected by Milwaukee originally in the '82 June draft, then traded on to Atlanta and signed by the Orioles as a 6-year minor league free agent this past winter. They really didn't give Jay Aldridge much of a chance to make this club. Then he went to spring training. He reported in pretty good shape, and then he pitched 4 games in spring training. 7 2/3 innings, gave up only 1 run, walked only 1, struck out 5, a 1.17 earned run average. And with Williamson hurt and McDonald hurt, this is a guy here, at least to some degree, because the rosters were expanded from 24 to 27.
A 1/3 of an inning for Brian Holton with a walk. So now the pitchers of record, Steve Farr and Jay Aldridge. And the leadoff man, Jim Eisenreich, for the Royals in the bottom of the 8th inning. Despite their problems in the last half inning, the Royals still have 6 outs remaining at the plate, 2 only 3 for Baltimore. And Eisenreich was thinking about making it 7-6 with that swing. 0 for 3 on the day. He's hit the ball in the air 3 times. One ball, 1 strike. Eisenreich chosen by the Kansas City media the most valuable player of '89. Surprised a few folks as he outvoted Bo Jackson. Fastball outside, 2-1. When he hit .293, 9 homers, 59 RBIs, and led the club with 27 steals. Willie Wilson was the perennial base champ here in KC. And one of the criticisms of Willie Wilson here last year, Norm, one of the reasons he's not playing, along with Eisenreich's performance, that when he got on base, Willie was very reluctant to run to second base.
Willie's game is speed, and Willie took speed out of his own game last year. And really, Willie doesn't do a lot of the other things well enough if Willie isn't a speedball. He doesn't hit for power. He doesn't walk very much. And at this stage of his career, he isn't significantly better defensively than Eisenreich. Tell you what, Eisenreich had a really nice year for this club last year.
3-2 delivery. Fouled off to the left.
This club last year had 9 millionaires, and Eisenreich was their MVP.
Yeah, he was a mere 6-figure man.
Yes.
Chopper over the mound. To his right, Billy Ripken. Big hop. Nice play. We told you about the Padres and the Dodgers joined in progress when we finish up here in KC. Tonight, down in Arlington, it'll be the Blue Jays and the Rangers. Jays the favorites to win the AL East, and like everybody else, the Rangers and Ruben Sierra are chasing Oakland. in the AL West, at least as the forecasters go.
That's Ryan and young Todd Stottlemyre. Ryan going for number 290 in his career.
Steve Zabriskie and Joe Morgan will call it for you tonight. Little looper, left field by Stillwell, but oncoming is Bradley. We have got some of the fastest outfielders in all of baseball in this ballpark today. Bases empty, 2 outs. Frank White 2 up, and back to the studio. Here's John Saunders.
Well, Bob, at Dodger Stadium, Fred Lynn in his first season as a member of the San Diego Padres, 38 years old, facing Orel Hershiser, sends this one out to center field. Gone for a home run to give the Padres a 1-0 lead. Chris Berman and Tommy Hutton will have that one back to Royals Stadium.
The old guy from USC likes the West Coast, doesn't he? Frank White with a base hit deep into the hole. Even had Cal Ripken made that play cleanly, don't believe he would have thrown out Frank White.
This may not seem like a critical at bat, but understand that Bob Boone's up next. If you can get Boone out of the way in this inning, and that's not to say as White leaves for a pinch runner, if you get Boone's at bat out of the way this inning, you don't have to think about pinch hitting for Bob Boone next inning to start the bottom of the ninth.
That's Gary Thurman.
And look out for this speedball.
He was the #1 outfield prospect in the organization until a guy named Bo showed up and took away the job.
This
Thurman can burn it.
Yeah, he can really burn it. 58 steals 1 year in the minors, 53 another, and 70 in another. Thurman was not put in the game to stand at first base.
Bob Boone, the hitter, wide open stance. Thurman started and stopped.
You know, sometimes people will say, well, he's just faking going. No, sometimes the runner is getting a feel. He's getting a feel for the motion and the jump against a guy. Good base runners measure pitchers.
Look at that stance of Bob Boone. He really opened things up last year.
Balk.
And there's a balk, and Thurman will not have to steal second. Now the base hit gives the Royals the lead. Evidently some sort of a little start toward home plate by Jay Aldrich.
What he did was he moved his arm out and back, then moved again to step on the rubber, and that motion of Aldrich's was a balk.
Frank Robinson on the middle step of the dugout.
See, right here, a young pitcher really does need the umpire to tell him what it was. Aldrich still, I don't think, knows what he did. The umpire motioned to him.
I saw John Shulock explaining the whole thing to Cal Ripken. Maybe Cal should go tell him. They were having a real clinic out there. 1-0 is the count to Bob Boone. Fastball over but low, 2-0. Boone's reason for totally opening up that stance a year ago, he felt that if he opened up and faced left field, he'd be watching the pitchers now with 2 eyes instead of 1 when he had it closed up. And it paid off last year as Bob Boone hit .274 for the Royals. Well hit, but right at Worthington. Crossed the diamond, and the game stays tied after 8 innings. A man left. The Royals have stranded 6 today. To the 9th we go, 6-6.
Let's check around the rest of the major leagues on today's opening day play. First, the American League. Roger Clemens, the winners. The Red Sox beat the Tigers. The Jays in Texas. You'll see that one later here tonight on ESPN. In the National League, Andy Van Slyke had a pair of home runs as the Pirates clubbed the Mets 12-3. 7 Mets pitchers using the game. The Dodgers and Padres coming up next. Following our game, the Royals and the Orioles. Let's get it back to Bob and Norm.
Tie game as we move on to the top of the 9th here at Royal Stadium, Kansas City. Steve Jeltz, recent pickup by the Royals, in to play second base, replacing Frank White defensively. And on the mound, the third KC pitcher is right-hander Jeff Montgomery.
26-year-old Jeff Montgomery, a fastball, curveball, slider pitcher, came on to save 18 games last year and post an incredible 1.37 ERA.
And that ERA was best in the American League among relievers.
How about 92 innings pitched 66 hits allowed.
Billy Ripken, the leadoff man. He's 1 for 3 on the day, and he pops it up right side. Bob Boone giving chase. And he ran out of room.
The next run the Baltimore Orioles get off Jeff Montgomery will be their first. They have never gotten a run off Jeff Montgomery. Ooh.
And here at Kansas City, the rail is a little higher than it is in a lot of ballparks. You really have to be careful over there.
By the way, that streak of unscored on innings from Montgomery, nine innings against Baltimore.
He loves to throw the fastball inside. That's what he did on Billy Ripken to move him off the plate. 2 balls and a strike. Montgomery bounced around the Cincinnati farm system for 5 years. Control was always a problem. Pop fly, left field. Here comes Bo. Long way to go, but he's going to get help from his shortstop. Oh, a little snow cone by Stillwell. The baseball showing out of the top of his glove, but he caught it in foul territory.
The left fielder, Bill Red.
Jeff Montgomery is one of those guys that people feel is an ideal setup man, could be an ideal closer. In fact, this guy took over the closing role from Farr last year and was dynamite. Right-hand hitters hit a $187 against him last year. No 7-figure contracts for $187s, are there, Bobby?
Not unless you're the guy throwing it. Fly ball right field. Danny Tartabull in, calls Jeltz off, as he should. 2 down. Danny Tartabull took charge, and you really like to see that when you've got a second baseman in front of you that just came into the game. A couple of fly balls, 2 down, and Orsulak will be the hitter, but to further develop that point of Montgomery's control, one of the reasons he couldn't make his mark with the Reds, but last year, you talked about his innings, Norm. A lot of innings he pitched, 94 strikeouts, 25 walks in 92 innings. What a strikeout to walk ratio that was. Fastball for a strike to Orsulak, wearing the 0 for 4 opening day collar here. Outside corner.
The nice thing about Montgomery is that with his pitch assortment, he's capable of going all the way through a lineup. You can get 2-3 innings out of Jeff Montgomery regularly.
Bob Boone wants to make sure they have all those signals in sync. Shook off Bob Boone a number of times, and somebody who's played over 2,100 games behind the plate doesn't like to be shaken off that much. Bob Boone, formerly of California, most recently at least, many great years with the Phillies. There was a little criticism of Booney out there because they felt he was calling too many breaking pitches for Angel pitchers. And now with Lance Parrish back out there, they're taking more of a power pitching approach in Anaheim. 1-2 delivery, well hit, right by George Brett, into the corner. Tartabull has to wait for the carom. It'll be an easy double for Joe Orsulak, if it's not an error, and it would be pretty tough to give an error to George on a play like that. On this turf, it moves so quickly.
The shortstop, Cal Ripken Jr.
Right out over the plate, and it just eats Brett up. And now, if you're an Oriole fan, this is the guy you want up there.
Right-hander against right-hander. No activity in the Kansas City bullpen. And there's no way that Cal Ripken will get a chance to swing the bat here.
You will very, very, very seldom see what's happening here. Walking a right-hand hitting number 3 hitter to face a left-hand hitting number 4 hitter with the game on the line. This is real respect for Ripken.
Now you go after a guy who had a .509 slugging percentage last year. And what that means is a lot of Mickey Tettleman's hits went for more than singles in driving home 65 runs a year ago. Royals defensively now with a play at every base. 2 on, 2 out. Tettleman 0 for 3 his most recent times up after a second inning single. He scored ahead of Sam Horn, so 1 for 4 on the day. Breaking ball in the dirt. This one will go out of play, straight back.
Fair speed at second in Orsilac, but not the greatest collection of arms in baseball in the outfield. Bo's arm is very strong. It can be erratic. Eisenreich with an average arm, and Tartable an average arm.
Danny Tartable has the best arm of the 3 in terms of overall accuracy.
As far as accuracy, for sure, yes.
That was a pretty good pitch. Fastball tailing away near the knees of the outside corner. Tettleman under 200 career with men on base. Not the kind of number you like to see if you're an Oriole fan late in this ball game. But it's a new year. And on the breaking ball, he just stayed alive. But this Baltimore team, as Norm told you earlier, a knack for winning those close games a year ago. It was game 161 when they finally yielded the division title to the Blue Jays. Fastball over but low, evening the count, 2-2.
Can sense an uneasiness in this crowd. They felt this game was in the bag 20 minutes ago.
Popped him up. Short right field. Tartable in. Jeltz out. Danny Tartable takes charge again. Montgomery pitches around the double and the intentional walk. Orioles have left 7 men today. Bottom of the 9th. Royals trying to win it. From downtown Kansas City, out east on I-70 to Royal Stadium. Bottom of the 9th inning coming up. 6-6 to score with Norm Hitzges, Bob Carpenter on the opening day of the 1990 season. It's been our pleasure to bring it to you on ESPN, and if the Royals don't strike here, we'll be bringing you some more from this ballpark. Top of the order, Gerald Perry, on base 3 times, is the leadoff man. Jay Aldrich, the pitcher, still for Baltimore, and a fastball outside corner.
The Royals set up exactly the way they won an inning in this situation. Bo Jackson 4th in case anything happens.
Perry fooled on the pitch that was dropping down and away from him, and he's in the hole 0-2. Made a good impression, did Gerald, in the spring, hitting .417 for Kansas City. And a good start here today with a walk and 2 singles in 3 official trips. Hard fastball inside and low, 2-2.
You know, Bob, if Aldrich can get you through the 9th, you've got a slight advantage over Kansas City in this situation. Kansas City's already committed Farr and Montgomery, 2 of their best 3 bullpen pitchers. They have Davis left. You still have Hickey, who's your left-hand setup man, for your closer, Greg Olson, left. So a slight talent advantage in the pen to Baltimore right now.
On 3-2, Perry making contact to stay alive.
Perry may have swung at ball 4 there.
Yeah, but the hitter will tell you, too close to take in the 9th inning.
It's harder to judge the ball on the outside corner than any other pitch.
Yeah, we've seen Aldrich's fastball. It's got a lot of late movement to it. It looks like the strike when you start your swing. Here's the 3-2 again. Little fly ball Left center field. Bradley will take it.
Those don't fall against Baltimore, do they?
No, sir. Neither club here today. Kevin Seitzer will be the hitter. Royals last year had the best home record in the major leagues. It's because they won games in this situation. They were 55-26. Had they played .500 ball on the road, they would have tied Oakland.
As a matter of fact, over the last 3 years in this park, the Royals are 48 games over .500.
Breaking ball down and away. Seitzer 0 for 4, and that's unusual. Right center field. It's got a chance, but so does Orsilac. He did a lot of diving around the outfield for the Orioles last year. He was there in plenty of time, though. That ball from the right-handed hitter was tailing back in, and I think really surprised Joe the way it tailed back at him. He almost overran that ball.
He almost seemed to be squinting for it at the last moment, too, like he was having trouble keeping track of it.
Well, the lights are on here late in the afternoon. He might have lost that ball in the lights.
Now, realize what you're seeing here today. You're seeing Bradley and Orsilac and Devereaux. Two of their finest defensive outfielders are not in this game. Brady Anderson and Steve Finley.
Here's George Brett. George is 0 for 4. Brett and Seitzer are combined 0 for 9 today. You wouldn't expect the score to be 6-6 on opening day with those two not producing. But Jackson and Tarnable have, as well as Frank White.
By the way, from the department of thank you, Steve Finley had a poor spring, or he'd have started in right field today. Orsilac would have DH'd, and Sam Horn would have sacked.
Brett got jammed. Right side. Milligan drops the ball. And that's the winning run at first base on a 2-out error.
Guess who gets the bat in the 9th inning now? Of all the nice plays the Orioles have made today, here's one routine. Milligan just simply boots.
Bo Jackson on base every time today. 3 walks, a single, 2 runs scored. Winning run at first base. Fastball low and away.
Just in case you're thinking about it, Brett stole 14 bases last year. He still has functional speed as a runner.
Tore up his knee on the turf here. Last year, missed a lot of ball games. And it looks like Jay Aldrich wants nothing to do with the power zone of Bo Jackson. A couple of fastballs well outside, and the count is 2-0. Orioles hoping for extra innings. Fastball up, and I mean up.
Way up.
See, and Bo's mad at himself. Earlier in this game, remember we told you that's the pitch he's got to let go? He's mad at himself for taking this swing. That is an unhittable location there.
Well, a walk really helps the Royals here. It pushes Brett to second for Tarnable, who's swinging the bat very well today.
Instead of ball 3, it's 2-1. Way down low.
Bo Stillman.
Well, that's a good sign, though. Bo Jackson, more mature, more disciplined as the years go by. Mad at himself when he swings at a bad pitch. 3-1. There's Danny Tarnable waiting as the Royals fans go to their feet.
Do you start Brett here? No. Advantage.
Now it's automatically started with Brett running. 3-2 count, 2 outs.
Advantage Kansas City here. Realize Brett, who has good speed, if Jackson should line a single toward the gap, one where the outfielders who are playing deep have to go over, a long single conceivably scores George Brett here.
Those outfielders playing as deep as against any hitter in the American League.
Is Baltimore not going to hold Brett on? Oh, you gotta cost Brett a step or two. Yeah, Milligan's going to stay there.
Chopper, third base side. Worthington has to hurry, and safe is Jackson at first base. And I'm not sure Worthington's throw even beat Bo Jackson to the bag, even though Milligan was called for coming off first base.
Yeah, Durwood Merrill indicated to Milligan his foot was off the bag, but this throw doesn't beat Bo Jackson. Safe.
Danny Tartabull up in a game-winning situation. Milligan did all he could, and so did Worthington. But speed robbed them both. Tartabull 2 for 4 today with that 2-run homer and 2 runs scored. And he was pumping.
Late inning pressure situation, runners in scoring position. Danny Tartabull last year hit .429. That's .429.
No balls, 1 strike. Fly ball out of play, upper deck right side as the rain is falling a bit here. No balls, 2 strikes. Spotted the fastball up and away. This gave Tartabull something to think about there. He played Danny around to the right in the outfield. And the breaking ball drops low and inside. Count even now at 2-2. Fastball by him. And in Kansas City, we're headed for extra innings. Royals get an error and a single, leave 2. They strand 8 through 9. And John Saunders, overtime coming up at Royals Stadium.
Well, Bob and Norm, end of 9 now. And as you say, our very first game here on ESPN, we're taking it to the 10th. A couple of games are final. Let's check those scores. The Tigers and the Red Sox. Roger Clemens picks up the first victory of the season. Jack Morris the first loss. Wade Boggs was 3 for 4, had 3 runs batted in. Dwight Evans with the big blow, a 3-run double early in the game. Jack Morris, 11th straight day. He would start, but he would take the loss. The Pirates and the Mets. 7 Mets pitchers used in this game as the Pirates clubbed them 12-3. Andy Van Slyke with a 2-run home run. He actually had 2 home runs in the game and 4 runs batted in. Bobby Bonilla had 3 hits, including 3 runs batted in and a home run as well, and 7 pitchers, as I told you. The game we'll get to next, the Padres and the Dodgers. The only run in this game, Fred Lynn has a home run. San Diego leading Los Angeles in the 5th. We'll get to that one in a moment as soon as our game comes to an end. Don Mattingly is now the highest paid player in baseball. He gets a 5-year contract extension worth $19 million or $3.7 million a year. That's surpassing Will Clark of the Giants, who signed his contract during the offseason. Right now, let's get it back to the 10th inning. The Kansas City Royals and the Baltimore Orioles. Let's rejoin Norm Hitzges and Bob Carpenter. Gentlemen.
Pretty gutsy performance by Jay Aldrich, striking out Danny Tartabull with 2 on, 2 out on a high heater.
This is nothing but strength on strength. Fastball straight and above the belt. He just gets it through the hitting zone before Tartable can get the bat through.
That one was clocked at 92.
If you're wondering about extra inning performances, last year these were two of the best teams in the major leagues in extra innings. Baltimore a sparkling 9-3, and Kansas City a solid 11-6. The sign of two teams that got good bullpen pitching last year.
Sign of a couple of good pitching staffs to begin with. Royals and an ERA as a team eclipsed only by California and Oakland. Arguably the three best teams in baseball, all playing in the same division a year ago. Randy Milligan, the leadoff man, pop up right side. George Brett has it spotted. That's how the 10th inning gets underway.
There is Baltimore bullpen action right now. It's the veteran Kevin Hickey in the O's pen for Al Jackson and Frank Robinson.
That guy's an interesting story if we get to him. Former bouncer around of minor Major League Baseball, out of baseball for a while, but right now we need to focus in on the man in the batter's box. Huge day for a huge man. Up the middle, to his left, Stillwell can't get there. And I think he thought he would because he chose not to leave his feet.
Horn, who is not very quick at all, if Stillwell simply keeps that ball in the infield somehow and picks it up, he can get Horn. But this ball slips through on him. Again, that's a ball that on grass is out number 2.
Lead run aboard with 1 out. Craig Worthington, the hitter.
I wonder here about running for Sam Horn. Don't you tie game? 10th, but you take your big stick out of the lineup if you run for it.
Orioles have some speed in that dugout.
Yeah, Rene Gonzalez is down there. He can scoot. Finley, Anderson, they can run.
Stanley Jefferson is in there.
Oh yeah, that's another guy who can really scoot.
Inside corner for a strike, evening the count at 1-1. Top of the 10th inning here, Royals Stadium on opening day. Orioles opening on the road. These two teams were to open last Monday in Baltimore. But with the week loss, they get things underway in Missouri instead of Maryland. Breaking ball, low and away, 2-1.
Bit of deja vu for both teams. Baltimore opened its season last year winning in extra innings, 5-4 over Boston in 11. 2 years ago in this park, the Royals lose when George Bell hits 3 homers. Another big power man lit him up on opening day.
Breaking ball. It'll stay in the ballpark because it was a breaking ball. That one got out toward the end of the bat, and Worthington had a good sweep at it, but by the time he made contact, it was down at the end of the barrel. 2 outs.
The center fielder, Mike Devereaux.
With Kevin Hickey continuing to throw, it seems like Aldrich may be finished. Usually when a pitcher throws while his team is hitting, it indicates he's getting ready to come into the game at the next half inning.
Tie ball game, and with the heat that guy was throwing, and the bottom of the Royals order due up.
Yeah, they might try to squeeze one more inning, you're right.
He certainly wasn't tiring based on the 92-mile-an-hour speed limit that he reached on the final offering in the 9th inning. Mike Devereaux singled his first time. He's been retired the last 3 times, and it looks like again George Brett camping under this one. Orioles get a runner. They leave one. They've stranded 8 today. Bottom of the 10th coming up. Eisenreich leads off for Kansas City. Bottom of the 10th inning here, Royal Stadium, Kansas City, and these two ball clubs in action on ESPN again Wednesday night, 8:30 Eastern. Some of you will see the Yankees and the Indians from Cleveland. Steve Zabriskie will ease in and sit next to Norm here in this ballpark Wednesday evening for that one. Bottom of the 10th underway with a low and outside pitch to Jim Eisenreich. Another guy like Seitzer Unusual to see him hitless for an entire day. Now the bat goes about 30 feet short of where the ball went for the first out. Billy Ripken making the play on that sawed-off job.
The second guy in a row. Aldrich has really shown you some heat. He simply eats this bat up with the fastball. That's not bad wood. That's good hardball.
Eisenreich holding splinters going down the first baseline, and Kurt Stillwell is the hitter.
Boy, he had a big hit in this game, didn't he?
Right-handed it was. Now the switch hitter turns around from the left side and takes a strike. That was a 2-run double with 2 outs back in the 6th inning. That was huge enough, and then Frank White made it real big by homering as the next hitter. Fastball a little bit inside. 1 ball, 1 strike. One final from the American League today. Red Sox over Detroit earlier, 5-2. White Sox and Brewers are in the late innings. John Saunders will keep you up to date with that one. Seattle at California tonight. Minnesota at Oakland. And Toronto at Texas, our late game on ESPN. This one on a play to the left side, 2-2. Kurt Stillwell will be 25 in June. And if he produces offensively like he has today and plays the great defense that he's known for, he'll have a job in this ballpark for a while. Although he's had some injury problems, a groin in '88, a knee last year, keeping him out of some action. Left field way. Bradley was playing him near the line, so it's a short run for Phil to catch the fair ball. 2 down. And this one is settled back into a pitching duel between the 2 bullpens.
The second baseman, Steve Jeltz.
Without Greg Olson or Mark Davis in the ballgame. And our first time today at the plate for Steve Jeltz.
Jeltz coming over from the Phillies late in spring training. Royals really felt they needed a backup infielder. As you said about Terry Shumpert, he's not ready to play in the bigs, they don't think, and they needed a guy to back up short and second. Jeltz was available in Philadelphia.
Up the middle to his right, and a bad hop on Billy Ripken. That ball hit right near or on the lip of the sliding pit, and it took a funny hop, and Ripken failed to make the backhanded play.
You're right, Bob. That ball appeared to catch the dirt portion of the infield and skip up a little higher than Ripken thought it would.
They haven't posted a hit yet on that play. But it's a very difficult play to make right on the lip where the turf ends. Number 9 man is Bob Boone. Winning run aboard with 2 outs. Bottom of the 10th. You were talking about the Royals' utility situation, Norm. Steve Jeltz can hit and he can run. They've had a couple of career utility men here, but they've never hit. Bill Pacoda and Brad Wellman, both good defensive players, but they've never been able to hit. By the way, Billy Ripken was given an error on that play.
Tough error.
Yes, it is. Little chopper to short. Should be easy for Cal. Over to brother Bill. And this one is over. Royals get a runner, strand 1. They've left 9. And after 10 innings of play in Kansas City, it's still all tied.
Hi, everybody. I'm Chris Berman, along with Tommy Hutton out at Dodger Stadium here in Los Angeles. Bruce Hurst in the bottom of the 5th has yet to allow a Dodger base hit. Freddie Lynn's home run gives the Padres the 1-0 lead. Let's go back now to Bob Carpenter.
All right, Chris, and here in Kansas City, to the top of the 11th we go with drama unfolding on the West Coast.
The Dodgers, as usual, lavishing Orel Hershiser in runs. Poor Orel.
Top of the 11th inning here. And Billy Ripken leads off. Jeff Montgomery still on for Kansas City.
Here again, though, is the advantage of Montgomery. He is a closer with long man stuff. So you can get 3, 4, 5 innings out of Jeff Montgomery.
Fastball inside, and that's ball 3. After Ripken, it's back to the top of the order for Phil Bradley and Joe Orsulak. Frank Robinson, late innings, has his entire bench at his disposal. He has not used a backup player today. And it's 3-1. Billy Ripken, only a .239 mark and 26 runs batted in 114 games a year ago. The year before that, he was the lowest hitting regular player in the American League. And that one was a little bit up high, and he's the lead run at first base in the 11th. Second walk issued by Montgomery, the first non-intentional walk. He's in his third inning of work, and that walk gets the Royals bullpen busy.
And it's going to get a pinch runner to first base for Billy Ripken, also Brady Anderson.
Pinch running for Bill Ripken, number 9, Brady Anderson.
Bill Ripken on base twice today with a single and that walk-in. 4 official trips at the plate.
Brady Anderson, 16 steals for this club last year as less than a half-time player.
A lot of possibilities. There he goes. The bunt is a good one. And with the runner going, it's perfect. Pitcher to the second baseman, Jeltz, on the sacrifice.
Brady got up at second base and looked around. He dove into second base. I think Brady thought he was stealing here. No head turn. That was an attempted steal by Brady Anderson. Bradley, it appeared, missed a sign earlier in this game, but you don't think he would have missed another one and bunted on his own. But Brady Anderson certainly reacted like a man who was going to steal second base.
Certainly did. Never looked up. Now Joe Orsulak in a situation to give the Orioles the lead. He doubled his last time up. Now the runner going to third. The throw by Boone, and they've got in.
Dead meat. No right-hand hitter, so Boone's got a clean look at third. The throw easily beats Brady Anderson.
Last year, Bob Boone nailed about 40% of the base runners against him. 32 out of 89 caught stealing, and ring up Brady Anderson here in 1990. Now 2 outs, bases empty, and Orsulak grounds one up the middle. Jeltz has it. No chance, though, to get anything on the throw. So instead of first and third, 1 out, Orioles have a runner at first, 2 down.
The shortstop, Cal Ripken Jr.
Johnny Oates talking to Orsulak with George Brett, the first baseman. Rain falling rather steadily in Kansas City. The weather has sure cooperated here. Originally, we only heard of a 2-hour window of non-rain, and basically hasn't rained for the better part of 3 hours here today. At the plate, Cal Ripken. Fastball way up high.
You know what's strange about Orsulak, as Crawford and Mark Davis ready themselves in the Kansas City pen, is when he was with Pittsburgh, he ran all the time. And now he comes over here to a club that's arguably more aggressive than that Pittsburgh team was, and he doesn't run much anymore.
Pretty good breaking ball. Cal was fooled, couldn't stop his swing. A ball and a strike, the count.
Cal hasn't had very much in the way of at-bats today. He has a walk and a hit batsman, but a strikeout and a fairly hard hit ball that Saberhagen speared, and then a routine grounder to short. He's also had a couple of swings like that today. Just to underscore that Orsilac stat on stealing, this guy stole 48 bases over 2 years with Pittsburgh as a part-time player.
Ripken fouls one high in the air, right side. Looks like George is out of room. It's about 5 rows deep. And the count goes to a ball and 2 strikes. Al Ripken. A lot of media have been trying to move him over to third base for a number of years. They ought to forget about it, because he's been one of the outstanding shortstops in the American League for a number of years. Not the quickness of a Tony Fernandez, but he knows where to position himself, and he makes a play on everything that he gets to. And then there's his bat. Breaking ball low and away, 2-2. Another breaking ball. And Brett won't be able to reach this one either.
When you're on the road, it's easy to know when to use your closer, like Davis. You just wait till you get a lead in the late innings and you bring that guy in. At home in a tie situation, it's a little more delicate.
You might end up wasting it.
Exactly right. Exactly right.
Well, the field is getting wetter, and on the artificial turf of Royal Stadium, any ball hit into the gap or down the lines actually shoots to the wall. So with 2 outs, any kind of hit like that would score the run. There's one that's too close to the right fielder to score it, but you can see the skip to Tartable. He has trouble with it. They're going to wave the runner. Here's the throw from Jeltz. Not in time. The wet turf helps the Orioles. If Tartable fields that ball cleanly, there's no way they send the runner. But it skipped on him, and Baltimore has the 11th inning lead.
This will be an error, Tartable. He gets there, then does not handle it cleanly. And that's all the Orioles needed. A very, very aggressive team, and the third base coach is bringing Orsilac the whole way. You know, one other thing, the Royals played that as though they were holding the runner at first instead of anticipating the possibility of Orsilac coming all the way.
So Danny Tartable charged with the error. The Royals down by a run, and one of the most expensive commodities anywhere coming into the ball game. Mark Davis when we return. Mark Davis is on, and he's thrown a breaking ball for a ball to Mickey Tettleton, who turns around and bats right-handed. There's a fastball for a strike.
Mark Davis was really nothing special the first 5 years of his career. 31 wins, 52 losses, only 13 saves, and then the last 2 years culminated by that 44-save Cy Young Award-winning year last year. Last 2 years for Davis, 9 wins and 72 saves, and an ERA of 1.95.
And you just saw why. That nasty, nasty curveball.
Nasty curve.
He runs the fastball up and away. Orioles have another runner out at second base. Cal Ripken took second on that error by Danny Tartable as Orsilac came home to score. There's Cal. O's would like a little of insurance here in the top of the 11th.
When the Royals bat here in the bottom of the 11th, they're going to face Baltimore's ace reliever, Greg Olson. This is unlike John Watson, who had a choice of when to commit Davis, the reliever. Frank Robinson playing on the road, it's clear. Get the lead in the top half of an inning and have Greg Olson slam the door in the bottom half.
There's a strike, and this half inning is over. Settled and gone, but on the error, the Orioles get an unearned run on 2 hits to the bottom of the 11th. Kansas City down by 1. Well, the closing situation in vogue now for the Orioles. They've taken the lead. They call on Greg Olson.
Yeah, Frank Robinson goes to his hammer. 23-year-old Greg Olson, the rookie pitcher of the year in the American League last year. 27 saves, more than a strikeout per inning, a 5-2 record, a 1.69 earned run average. The fastball, 95 miles an hour. The curveball, maybe the hardest thrown curveball in the major leagues. 2 extremely plus pitches makes this potentially the best young closer in all of baseball.
Rene Gonzalez is at second base for the Orioles after they pinch hit for Billy Ripken, or actually pinch ran for Billy. And the leadoff man, top of the order, Gerald Perry for the Royals.
Olson, however, this spring has been bothered a little bit by a sore biceps.
Perry, Seitzer, and Brett in the 11 for the Royals. And an easy one right side. Gonzalez throws him out. Coming up after our game here today, Padres and Dodgers out west with Chris Berman and Tommy Hutton. And Bruce Hurst has a no-hitter going 6 innings strong.
Question is, how far can Bruce Hurst go?
Good question on opening day. What if he's tired? What if he might hurt himself? Do you pull him after 7 or 8 innings with a no-hitter going?
And you don't have a big cushion in that game. If the score were 3-0, 4-0, 5-0, it'd be easier on Jack McKeon. They don't have that kind of cushion.
Olson in a save situation here, facing Seitzer. And what a great outing for Jay Aldrich. 3 innings of scoreless relief, only 2 hits, 1 walk. He balked once, it did not hurt him, and he could be the winner.
Imagine if Jay Aldrich and Sam Horn were the heroes for the Orioles.
Seitzer hits one right to Worthington. 2 down.
That would be 2 non-roster players when the spring began. The heroes on opening day. All right, Sam's juiced. Sam figured to be the hero at one of the Amtrak stops this year, not Baltimore.
It's all up to George Brett now. George 0 for 5 today as the rain falls in Kansas City, bottom of the 11th. Breaking ball for a strike.
You almost get a Casey at the bat feeling here, don't you? If only the Mudville 9 in Kansas City can get Bo to the plate.
A lot of things can happen out on that wet turf. We saw it possibly decide the game a half inning ago. At the knees with a breaking ball, and Brett is in the hole. No balls, 2 strikes. Orioles a pitch away from grabbing number 1, and they'd like to see that man walking back into the dugout with all of his gear.
What a nice win this would be for the Orioles.
Fastball away, high chopper, looks like a hit for Brett. No, it's a great play by the pitcher. Greg Olson somehow getting behind the mound to make the play, and the Orioles have defeated the Royals 7-6 in 11.
Outstanding performance by Olson, but the star of the game, obviously, Sam Horn. 2 3-run shots.
For Norm Hitchcock, Bob Carpenter, so long from Kansas City. Now to the studio and John Sunder.
Thanks a lot, Bob and Norm. The Orioles win in the debut. 7-6 is the final. They had to go extra innings. Great job by Greg Olson. 27 saves last year. Picks up a save in his first game of his sophomore season. Another game, a final in the American League between Milwaukee and Chicago. The White Sox win it 2-1. Fletcher with a sacrifice fly to make it 2-1 Sox to score Sosa, and they pick up the victory. Thigpen gets the save. The Padres and the Dodgers, what a story this one is. Bruce Hurst has a no-hitter through 6 innings. Let's get out there now and join Chris Berman and Tommy Hutton at Dodger Stadium.
All right, John, thank you very much. Good things come to those who wait. And if you've been waiting to tune into the Dodgers and the Padres, we may have a little history for you. Good afternoon from Los Angeles. There are 2 outs in the top of the 7th inning. Benito Santiago with a base hit to center field, and the Padres have a base runner. Bruce Hurst has mowed down the Dodgers through 6 innings, and there he is all alone. McKeon, nobody will come to talk to him, and Hurst has to come out of the on-deck circle. He has just been masterful. There was an error in the 1st inning. 1 base runner reached, an error on Gary Templeton, and Hurst allowed 1 walk. Through the 6th inning, he has thrown only 63 pitches. So if you're wondering, can he go the 9? Yes, he has been economical. Of those 63 pitches, 51 have been for strikes. There have never been a no-hitter in the history of the San Diego Padres, and we're glad you could join us. So with 2 down, the Padres leading 1-0 top of the 7th, courtesy of a top of the 2nd, 2-out, none-on solo homer by Fred Lynn. Padres lead at 1-0. John Wetland is now on pitching for Los Angeles. Hershiser went the first 6, then was removed for a pinch hitter in the bottom of the 6th inning. So that gets you up to date. A very quiet crowd. Not sure, Tommy, that they're in here with history. As Templeton flies it to center field. Samuel is going back and will play it off the wall. Here's Santiago around third. Little insurance for Bruce Hurst. The throw goes into second base. So with 2 outs, a base hit by Santiago and a double by Gary Templeton, who has been the defensive star, Tommy, thus far for Bruce Hurst, and the Padres lead at 2-0.
Exactly. I was just getting ready to say that Templeton has been a key figure in the Bruce Hurst no-hitter so far, and right now, offensively, he provides a little insurance for Hurst. He got a pitch out over the plate. Templeton has always had pretty good power the opposite field. He took that one to almost straightaway center, but he has made 2 key defensive plays on ground balls. He's also made an error that we thought could have been a base hit.
Yeah, that played in the 1st inning, and a very close call. And in the 1st inning, you don't really think, well, gee, I wonder if. Well, now 7 innings later, they are wondering if. So the Padres lead at 2-0, and here is Bruce Hurst, the man of the hour. 0 for 1 with a sacrifice today. Lifetime batting, which includes only last year, his first year in the National League. 0.71, so knock it down a tad with his 0 for 1 today. Bruce, not a big threat, but obviously he doesn't have to do it with the bat.
He banged out 5 singles last year.
It's funny, he said he went 1 for 3 in his first appearance at the plate, and then was on a hitting streak, but then went into the worst slump of his career when he made 34 consecutive outs.
You know, the contrasting thing with Hurst carrying this no-hitter through 6 innings, he had a 1-hitter last year. He struck out 13. He has just 1 strikeout today.
Hurst doing it with off speed, a changeup that really looks like a forkball. Has really had the Dodgers handcuffed. Of his 18 outs, 12 of them have been ground ball outs. So you know that he just has the Dodgers on their back heels. And now with a little insurance here in the top of the 7th inning, Templeton leads off second. And Hurst will sit down, struck out by Wetland. We've going into the bottom of the 7th. The Padres 2-0 leader. No hits thus far against the Padres. Bruce Hurst. Juan Samuel in center field. Willie Randolph at second. Huey Brooks, who will lead off here in the bottom of the 7th. He's playing right. Eddie Murray at first. Cal Daniels in left field. Jeff Hamilton at third. Mike Scioscia behind the plate. Alfredo Griffin at short. And John Wetland, who relieved Oral Hershiser last inning, is the 2nd pitcher of the day for the Dodgers. He's sitting in the number 9 slot. Huey Brooks stepping to the plate against Bruce Hurst, who has been just about perfect through 6 innings. A lot of walk, a lot of run around an error, and that has been it. That was his 64th pitch of the ball game, so he is fresh as he faces Huey Brooks, the man who got on the error in the bottom of the 1st inning. And the man who has just busted up the no-hitter. So we're glad you could join us for 1 or 2 of Bruce Hurst's pitch today. Through 6 innings, he was masterful, but as far as our audience knows, Tommy, he's faced 1 batter. He's allowed a hit. What's the matter with him?
That's
funny, too. Hubie Brooks has been the center of everything. He hit that off the end of the bat, and it takes a tricky hop when it does get past Gary Templeton. And watch the reaction of Bruce Hurst.
He thought Tempe had a shot at it. The way Templeton's been playing today, there was certainly no reason to think he couldn't come up with a play. But now the no-hitter is gone, and the tying run is at the plate in the large form of Eddie Murray. So that's something you have to think about. Now you lose your concentration, you give up a hit. Now you've got a ball game here on the line. And you certainly do, as Murray slugs one to left field. Brooks will stop at second base. So in the bottom of the seventh, it's the seventh inning stretch that's got the Dodger crowd remaining on their feet. 2 runners aboard with none down.
Another hanging off-speed pitch all through the early part of the ball game while Hurst had the no-hitter going. His off-speed pitches, the curveball and the changeup, were down in the strike zone. The Dodger hitters were off balance, but that time the pitch up. Jack McKeon, the Padre manager, will think about that. Hurst, in the meantime, will see action in his bullpen.
Greg Harris, that's Mark Grant, Mark Federal Grant, throwing in the Padre bullpen. The man you didn't see, or right near there on the right side of your screen, it's Greg Harris. Be a bullpen by committee this year rather than Mark Davis, who led everybody in saves last year. He, of course, you saw just a while ago pitching for Kansas City there in the 11th inning against Baltimore. And Santiago goes out to try and settle Hurst down just a little bit.
And here's the defense for San Diego. In right field, Tony Gwynn, the center fielder, Joe Carter, Freddie Lynn in left. Around the infield, Bip Roberts, Gary Templeton, Roberto Alomar, Jack Clark, and Benito Santiago, who just completed a conversation with Bruce Hurst.
Cal Daniels grounded to second twice today. Off speed, and look at Santiago fire down to second base. And you can never dance too far with Santiago behind the plate. He just has a gun.
You have to be alive with Santiago back there because he'll snap throw. He'll do it from his knees. So you always have to be aware. And I kind of thought Santiago maybe went to talk to Hurst a pitch too late. After the base hit by Hubie Brooks, I thought maybe a trip to the mound would have helped Hurst regroup a little bit. He didn't go, and Murray came back with a base hit.
1-0 pitch to Daniels. Takes the bunt. Lays off, and it's 2-0. So the Dodgers obviously have gotten through in a big way here. I know they haven't scored any runs, but after having no hits, they've got Hurst thinking they've got him behind for about the first time all game. Two-0 Padres, bottom of the seventh on a beautiful day at Dodger Stadium. A day that, if you're just tuning in, saw Bruce Hurst retire, not allow a hit through 6. But Hubie Brooks with a single, Eddie Murray follows with a single here in the bottom of the seventh. The no-hitter is gone, and the Padre lead in jeopardy. That one in there for a strike is called by home plate umpire Doug Harvey. Jerry Crawford working at first, Dana DeMuth at second base, Tom Hallion the ump at third today. 2 righties, Harris and Grant in the bullpen. Lefferts will be his closer this year, at least for starters, for Jack McKeon.
That's a good way to put it.
His closer for starters. You know what I mean. Daniels will square it. Hurst has to go to first, to Alomar covering. So Daniels does his job moving both runners over with 1 down, and that'll bring up Jeff Hamilton.
Couple of reasons I'm a little surprised at that call, as we will get an opportunity to see Cal Daniels, who isn't called upon that much to drop down a sacrifice bunt, but he pounded it into the ground enough. He had some good hang time. He was able to get the job done. But the reason I'm surprised is that Jeff Hamilton is the hitter due up. He's 0 for 2 today, and he's also now 0 for 16 against Bruce Hurst.
Well, one thing in talking to Tommy Lasorda, Tommy, before the game, he says, we really at this point have to manufacture runs. The lineup he has in there today, well, he hopes Daniels are, but he, you know, with Gibson out for a week or so, and we can elaborate on this more, he doesn't have a lot of speed, and so he's got to play some checker baseball, moving one at a time. He doesn't like to do it, but maybe he figures there's 2 cracks at a base hit to tie the game. The grounder to Templeton, He'll play to first in time, but 1 run scores. It's a 2-1 Padre lead.
Well, Jeff Hamilton this time picks up an RBI, and the reason he does so is because Jack McKeon has his infield playing back. He wants to get the out. He doesn't want the Dodgers to have a big inning, possibly tie it up. He doesn't want to allow a hitter such as Jeff Hamilton, who hadn't picked up a base hit, still has it against Bruce Hurst, to have the advantage with the infield in.
Mike Scioscia now up with 2 down. Murray staying at second base. Scioscia flied to right and walked. 2-1 Padres. Bottom of the 7th inning at Dodger Stadium. We're so glad you could join us here on ESPN, and an extra inning thriller in Kansas City, a no-hit bid into the 7th. Welcome Major League Baseball to ESPN to the 90s.
Baseball is such a game of momentum, and all of a sudden you can see it shifting toward the Dodger blue. They broke up the no-hitter. They've broken up the shutout. And they have Hurst a little bit on the ropes right now, even though they just have a chance with a base hit to tie it, just 1 runner on. The momentum's shifting a little.
Tying run at second base. A little low, and the crowd oohing and eyeing, but Eddie Murray is not exactly going anywhere.
Yeah, but this is where you really have to be alive if you're Eddie Murray. You want to get that extra step, that little extra jump, because they're 2 out. You represent the tying run. However, you have Benito Santiago back behind the plate.
He and Tony Pena, really, when it comes to guns in the game at this point, are about the best, the fastest guns. Of course, Pena now in the East. Santiago stays in the West. Scioscia at the plate with a 2-1 count with 2 down. Bruce Hurst mowed down the Dodgers until we hit the 7th. They finally touched him for a couple of hits and a run. And it's the first time he's really had to work a sweat out there in any inning whatsoever. Rarely behind in the count to anybody. And so we saw some serious hitting in some of the games, like at Shea Stadium and our game in Kansas City. So the hitters are ahead of the pitchers. Today, the pitchers ahead of the hitters. So it's great about baseball. Every theory is correct. And this one misses. 3-1.
Well, what we can say is that the pitchers at this point are ahead of the hitters on the West Coast.
In Los Angeles, they are ahead.
This brings up a topic that you and I have talked about, that the starters probably got enough work during spring training, the 3-week spring training. The relief pitchers maybe didn't.
3-1 delivery, ground ball that Clark fields cleanly, steps on first. But the no-hitter and the shutout are gone. We've played 7 in Los Angeles. The Padres 2. The Dodgers 1. Line up on opening day. Vip Roberts, you see what they've done. 0 for 3 today at third. Roberto Alomar at second. Tony Gwynn 0 for 3 today thus far. So is he surrendering his batting title? I doubt it, not yet. Jack Clark hitting cleanup. Joe Carter hitting 5th. Fred Lynn with the solo homer in the 2nd inning off Hershiser hitting 6th. Benito Santiago behind the plate 7th. Gary Templeton 2 for 3 in the RBI in the 7th. Batting 8th, and Bruce Hurst batting 9th.
All right, the defense, Brooks, Samuel, and Daniels in the outfield. Hamilton and Griffin on the left side. Willie Randolph at second. Eddie Murray, the first baseman. Mike Scioscia behind the plate, and John Wetland works in his 2nd inning.
Top of the order up against John Wetland. Bip Roberts grounded to second. Grounded to the mound. Fly to left in his 3 appearances. Bip opening up at third base. He may play a couple of positions this year. Polirullo, of course, never really got on track last year at the plate, so he may play some third. Bip can play, well, last year he played, 3 infield, 3 outfield positions. He can play all over, and probably will this year for Jack McKeon. Puts it on the inside corner, 2-1.
Yeah, the reason he'll see a lot of action is because he is a top leadoff man for the Padres, and one of the reasons that they like him in there, they need that extra speed at the top.
This one is skied behind third base. Hamilton in foul ground. Makes the catch, and there is one down. And you saw a moment ago that Bip is not Mr. April. Reggie Jackson, Mr. October. Bip with the below 100, way below the Mendoza line in April, and he didn't help himself there.
Bip was Mr. Second Half last year,
as were the Padres,
as the entire team was, and there were many who felt he could have been the team's most valuable player the way he played the second half of the season.
Roberto Alomar, second baseman, 0 for 3. Takes a strike call.
You know, we've talked so much, Chris, about the job Bruce Hurst has done. You have to start feeling for Orel Hershiser, who started this game for the Dodgers, went 6 good innings, and he might have to be thinking about last year, all the problems of his team scoring.
12 times Hershiser went last year, Tommy, and got no or 1 run in support. 34 straight innings he pitched without the benefit of a run. He's seen this before. And he would end up on the losing end if the Dodgers don't ever tie this thing up. It's 2-1 San Diego. Top of the 8th inning, 1 down. Roberto Alomar up against John Wetland. Chris Berman along with Tommy Hutton here on ESPN's opening day at Dodger Stadium. Pitch misses a little bit low. Roberto Alomar, only 22 years of age, hit .295 last year, stole 42 bases, and they just can't wait. Jack McKeon talked with him last night. We spent a couple hours with Jack, one of the true gentlemen in the game, and he just can't wait to just see what Alomar can do this year, and at that plate appearance with a shot past Wetland's right ear. 1 down, the Padres with a base run.
John Wetland, 23 years of age, just thankful that ball missed him. He would not maybe see year number 24, but a good fastball by Wetland and a quick bat by Roberto Alomar to extend and hit that shot up the middle.
Now here's Tony Gwynn up now. Tony has a chance. He has won 3 straight National League batting titles. The last man to win 4 straight National League batting titles, throw over to first base, Rogers Hornsby, 1920 to 1925 when he won 6. Only Hornsby, Stan Musial, and Honus Wagner have won more batting titles in the National League than Tony Gwynn, who has won 4. Just a remarkable hitter. Pitch up top, and plus before the game, he really is one of the nicer guys too.
Oh, tremendous. A real student of the game. Yep. and of the art of hitting too.
He's complained to me friendly over the last couple of years. Why doesn't he have a nickname? And he chose his. Tony Gwynn one for the Gipper. He says it's a sports, it's a team-oriented nickname. I like it. That's the way he plays. Nice pitch in the inside corner. Tony just would dearly love to get back in the series. The Padres, of course, in it in '84. He says, I'll worry about the batting title if I'm in it midway through September. Right now, we got a heck of a team here. Let's just see if we can't get off to a good start for a change and be the front runner early out of the gates. Two-1 San Diego, 1 down. Roberto Alomar aboard at first base. Tony Gwynn, your batter, who won the batting title last year, hitting .336, beating out Will Clark the last weekend of the season.
Can't forget about Alomar. 42 stolen bases last year, and in a 1-run game, they may try to get him in scoring position. He was leaning there too and drew the throw from Wetland.
Obviously, the Dodgers have thought this one through, as Wetland has gone to first more than he has to Gwynn. So with Roberts and Alomar at the top of the Padre order, they really feel they have some guys that can unnerve the pitchers before the heavy lumber with Gwynn, and then of course Clark and Joe Carter come up. Gwynn skies this one. Does Scioscia have room? Makes a nice catch and a quick turn to hold the base runner at first base. Nice play by Mike Scioscia, and Tony Gwynn is 0 for 4.
You know, that's a tough play even for a third baseman or first baseman without all the catching gear on. But look at Scioscia. He doesn't even care about the fence that's right there. He goes right into it. A tough play for a catcher, and he made it look easy.
The fence didn't care about him either.
No.
So it was mutual disrespect. Mike Scioscia, 11 years behind the plate for the Dodgers. He is caught some pretty good pitchers.
You know, they feel very fortunate to have Scioscia behind the plate for the most part, but also Rick Dempsey, a veteran in the major leagues. He can back him up. He's playing in his 4th decade in the major leagues, and both of those know how to pitch this guy.
Yeah, but sometimes of course, Mike Scioscia was behind the plate in this stadium in 1985 to Jack Clark. And a blast that everyone will remember in the NLCS. Game 6, 2 on, 2 out. Dodgers lead 5-4. Niedenfuhr delivers. Jack Clark gets the Cardinals the pennant. In this park, Scioscia behind the plate. Of course, the shadows were a little more. It was October. Jack Clark has done some damage in this park as a Giant and as a Cardinal. Now as a Padres. So he may not be atop the adulation list of those in the Dodger Stadium today. Two down, Alomar at first base. 2-1 Padre lead. John Wetland in relief of Oral Hershiser. Came on in the 7th, now working the 8th. Hershiser leaving as a result of a pinch hitter. Gave up only the homer to Fred Lynn. And Jack Clark, who after a simply horrendous start, turned it around, and despite a .242 average, and still had the 94 RBIs, led the National League in walks, the on-base percentage. He's dangerous. .2-0 pitch. They give him the green light, as obviously they would. Kind of swung meekly.
And that's not the Jack Clark that you normally see. He has a good eye at the plate, demonstrated by those number of walks. And when he's up there in a 2-0 situation, he's usually a more patient hitter and gets a pitch that he wants. That wasn't the pitch that he wanted. So credit Wetland for making a good breaking ball pitch on 2-0.
Whoa, and Wetland almost threw that one down the freeway to the Big A, where the Angels are opening up in about 2.5 hours. So it's a baseball doubleheader here in Southern California. The Angels Mariners, and we're going to try and make it to Oakland tonight to watch that game against the Twins. Of course, we'll be on hand tomorrow night at 10:30. But back to this one. 2-1 count. Runner at first base. It's just great. We're talking about going to a game in Oakland, going to a game in LA, going to a game in Anaheim. Runner goes, fouled back.
While everybody regroups, Alomar heading back to first. We've been talking about Jack Clark, and he has an interesting theory about his National League time and his 1 year spent in the American League with the New York Yankees. And he had a problem readjusting to the National League last year, as demonstrated by that poor first half. And he feels that staffs, ball clubs themselves, pitch him differently, and he had to regroup as to the way the Dodgers pitched him when he was with St. Louis, when he was with San Francisco.
2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Clark stepping back. Roberto Alomar. Runner at first base. Padres behind Bruce Hurst, lead it 2-1. Just a perfect afternoon in Southern California. This one misses outside, so that'll run the string through, and that obviously will give Alomar a head start. Trader Jack. That means
over,
like Monty Hall.
Took over for Larry Boa back in May of '88. And the Padres have been a better ball club because of it. And the Dodger organization has been a better organization because of that last gentleman, Tommy Lasorda.
Yep. 2 men are very good friends, Lasorda and McKeon. Tommy was talking to McKeon before the game and said, you know, we really hope you do well, finish second, and we'll give you a parade down there when the Dodgers win and the Padres finish a close second. I'll give the parade for you, Jack. Jack said, thank you. Fouled back, and so we'll do it all over again.
See what kind of confidence Wetland has in his breaking pitches. He's a good fastball pitcher with a breaking ball and a forkball. But here he has a tough hitter and a Jack Clark that he knows is a fastball hitter, and a 3-2 count. So he has left-hander Ray Searage, Don Ossie in the bullpen. And more than likely, one of those two will be in this game shortly, as Wetland is the second hitter up next inning.
Here you go out on that limb again, Tom.
I'll do that a lot this year.
Good. We have many branches here. Clark throws the bat at the ball, and this one will go foul. Actually, if you're going to throw the bat at the ball and you hit it, well, that was a good 60 feet behind third base, a 150-footer just throwing the bat at the ball. Only Bo could hit it farther.
Usually a hitter does that when he's fooled, and that time Clark just trying to protect the plate, got the pitch outside. Probably was a ball, but when it's 3-2, if it's close, you better try to foul one off. And that's what Jack did.
Jack Clark, Giants 8 years, Cards 3, Yankees 1, Pods 1, has missed only the AL West. There goes the runner, and strike 3. The Padres are out. The Dodgers coming up in the bottom of the 8th, trailing 2-1. Bottom of the 8th in Los Angeles. The Padres leading the Dodgers 2-1. It's been my lifelong dream to read this on ESPN. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of Major League Baseball and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form without the express written consent of Major League Baseball. We're so glad you could join us here on opening day in Los Angeles. Chris Berman along with Tommy Hutton, Bruce Hurst, who carried a no-hitter into the 7th inning. When Hubie Brooks broke it up, then Murray followed with a base hit. Eventually Hurst lost the shutout. It's now a 2-1 lead, and Alfredo Griffin leads off in the bottom of the 8th inning. Griffin grounding to second and grounding to short in his 2 plate appearances.
And while all that takes place, Mickey Hatcher waits in the on-deck circle.
So your limb is not going to break off. We will have a new Dodger pitcher. You're unbelievable.
I like to get off on the right foot.
You have. We're going to have some fun this year on Tuesday nights. We're having a blast here Monday afternoon. Off speed, that changeup, and he throws at several different speeds. Sometimes, well, that was just a pure change, but it looks like a fork ball. It looks like a splitter. And obviously it's worked for much of the afternoon today against Los Angeles. Outside. Hurst maybe getting a little tired. Through 7, he'd thrown 76 pitches, Tommy. 59 strikes and 17 balls, but last couple innings getting behind a couple of hitters.
Well, exactly. In the 7th inning, Hurst threw the most pitches that he had in any previous inning.
One might have been inside. And now, you know, we saw before the Padres had Grant and Harris up, the 2 closers, if you will, Craig Lefferts, Calvin Schiraldi. Lefferts, the man on your right, he's the left-hander that has become a Padre, a born-again Padre, as they re-signed him after the Giants couldn't ink him, free agent. And they're watching to see if Hurst can get it done. There's Alfredo Griffin getting it done with a base hit to left field to lead off the bottom of the 8th. And so the lead man aboard for the Dodgers, the tying run at first base, and here's Mickey Hatcher to pinch hit for Weck.
Well, maybe not. He had gone back in the dugout, and you have to wonder if, in this situation, Tommy Lasorda has changed his mind. He's going to go with a youngster, Jose Gonzalez, because he wants Gonzalez to go up there, drop down a sacrifice. He doesn't want to waste Hatcher in that situation. He wants to use Hatcher up there in a hitting situation. So he's changing. That's the a chance a manager has. He can do that. Change his mind as long as that hitter isn't announced.
Good move. Jack McKeon thinking about how long he might have Bruce Hurst go, looking to see if the Padres can turn 2. Defense, a problem with San Diego last year. They were 9th in the league in defense. And he'd like to see the infielders especially really pick it up, and he'd really like to see a double play. So with that man, Bruce Hurst, who really got mostly of his outs on the ground ball variety earlier on. Now a couple of those grounders are turning into a little more of a scorcher, that actually finding room and getting into the outfield. Hurst goes over to keep Griffin close.
You know, we've talked about Santiago being behind the plate. Makes it tough for the base runners. Bruce Hurst has one of the, if not the best move for a left-hander. Picked off 10 last year, has 60 pickoffs in his career.
Gonzalez off of the bunt, strike.
If you're Gonzalez right here, your primary goal, number 1, is to drop that bunt down. Number 2, you want to take it up the first base line. Tommy Lasorda probably told him that when he went back in the dugout, because you have a left-hander on the mound who's falling off. You have Jack Clark, the first baseman, who's not all that agile over at the bag.
Pop foul. So we said what a nice move to get Gonzalez in there, having major league difficulties just laying a bunt down.
Yeah, it's really an interesting decision. Hatcher may be a better bunter, but you want to use him to hit.
Well, let me ask you this. Do you dare bring in, now that there's 2 strikes, bring Hatcher up to bat? I mean, he's not going to. That's a tough call, isn't it?
Gonzalez faced Hurst last year, had 4 or 5 hits off of him, so he's faced him before, and he's not a complete out when you send him up there.
No, certainly wasn't.
So you're not going to take a
that.
chance with 2 strikes and waste another hitter and another player.
2-1 Padre lead, bottom of the 8th. He does bunt with 2 strikes. Hurst looks at second, will have to go to first, so Gonzalez coming through when he has to and moving the tying run to second base.
I really like what he did, too. Gonzalez, you could see the first 2 times, tried to push it up the first baseline. Knowing that he had 2 strikes on him, it's almost as if a squeeze is on. When you have a squeeze, you just want to get it in fair territory. That's what Gonzalez did. Put it right back to the mound, and a good jump by Griffin enabled him to reach second.
Juan Samuel, the man who will hit leadoff every game he's healthy this year for the Dodgers. Grounded to short twice, struck out in his 3 appearances against Bruce Hurst. Juan Samuel, one of the big offseason acquisitions for the Dodgers. You know, McKeon did not have the only market here in Southern California. I mean, the Angels making changes, Dodgers, Pods, a lot of stuff going on down here in the offseason. Samuel will fly it to right. Tony Gwynn trying to shade his eyes. It's the shades down. Griffin tags and gets into third without a throw. So 2 down, the tying run just 90 feet away. And Willie Randolph will step to the plate.
Willie Randolph.
We've talked about the Dodger offense, the problems they had. Oral Hershiser probably has memorized these numbers that we're seeing right here.
12th is like a 4-letter word there. Last.
Left on base. They led the league with those 1,171 LOBs.
Led the league or they trailed the league in everything.
But they also have a veteran coming up to face Hurst in Willie Randolph, who has seen Hurst for a long time.
Yes, good point.
In their matchups with the Yankees and the Red Sox over the years.
Willie Randolph, coming into the season, needs 104 hits to get to the 2,000 mark, and he'd like to pick up one of them right here.
And to carry that notion even further, Willie with a batting average over 400 against Hurst, 33 base hits.
Yowza. Lifetime 274 hitter. Picture of class. Yankee pinstripes, now the Dodger blue. All-star last year. And of course, had been an all-star 4 times before with the Yankees. This pitch misses. 1-1. 2 out. 2-1 Padre lead. Bruce Hurst trying to get Willie Randolph to get himself out of the 8th inning with Alfredo Griffin, the tying run at third base. That ball missed. 2-1. 48,686 on hand to watch the Dodgers and the Padres in an interesting 4-game series. First game in LA, next 3 in San Diego, with the strike causing a few of those series around the league this week. This is one of them.
Hard to believe when you see this stadium that it's 29 years old.
Yes, it is. This stadium came in the league the year the man behind the plate did, Doug Harvey, 1962. 3-1 now, the count to Willie Randolph. Dodger Stadium.
I have to say, over the last 2 innings, because of the run the Dodgers got in the 7th, the number of pitches Hurst threw, he's worked this inning more. A lot of pitches, he might be getting tired.
And he missed outside with a curve. And runners at the corners for Hubie Brooks, who broke up the no-hitter an inning ago with the base hit to center field. And Padres will think about making a move. The Dauber, Pat Dobson.
So much has been said about Jack McKeon and the job he's done. Pat Dobson, who's coming to the mound now to talk to Bruce Hurst. Dobson, the pitching coach in his 3rd year now with San Diego, has done wonders for the Padres staff. When he first came over, the staff walked many hitters, and that number drastically changed because of Dobson working with the pitchers on their mechanics. He saw a lot of bad mechanics in the pitchers. He worked with them on that, and you can see that Hurst still hasn't thrown that many pitches. 89, not a high number. Probably a high number, though, with only 3 weeks of spring training.
Jack McKeon, one of the big men he brought in the offseason. Craig Lefferts, we'll see, but they're going to stay with Hurst. Pat Dobson, 20-game winner one time with the Orioles. That year they had the 4 20-game winners with McNally, Cuellar, and ESPN's Jim Palmer.
Hubie Brooks.
Hubie Brooks. Signed the offseason from Montreal. Brooks, who broke up the no-hitter. Trying to get the Dodgers tied up. 2 out, bottom of the 8th. Griffin off 3rd. Makes a good run, and Brooks slugs one to left field. Back goes Lynn. He won't get it. It's gone. So Hubie Brooks making his presence felt as a Dodger in a hurry. And for the first time this afternoon, the Dodgers have taken the lead. Scoring more runs. That's what they want here in Los Angeles. That's when they got a guy like Hubie Brooks coming back home, really.
He grew up
California.
Compton, California. Dobson told Hurst, get ahead. You fell behind Willie Randolph. Hubie Brooks, a smart hitter and a good clutch hitter, knew that Hurst was going to try to get ahead. And he got a good pitch to hit, and he has endeared himself quickly to the LA fans.
There's Murray with a ground ball to 3rd. Throw on to Clark in time. But the damage has been done. 3-run homer by Hubie Brooks. It's 4-2 LA.
ESPN Major League Baseball, brought to you by Mitsubishi, bringing you a full line of award-winning automobiles. See them all at your Mitsubishi Motors dealer. By Budweiser, the king of beers. Remember, know when to say when. And by Levi's 505 and 506 jeans.
And back at Dodger Stadium, the place is alive. A couple of defensive changes for the Dodgers, as for the first time they lead. Jose Gonzalez has stayed in the game and gone to right field.
31.
John Shelby is in left field, and Don Ossie, who has been around a tad, is on in relief, and now John Wetland could get the win if Ossie sets the Padres down here in the top of the 9th.
Those spring training numbers interesting for Ossie because he was in camp as a non-roster player on a minor league contract. He got a chance to work a lot. He saw more action in the spring than the regular rostered players.
Joe Carter to lead off the top of the 9th inning. So Hubie Brooks breaks up the no-hitter in the 7th inning, hits the 3-run homer in the 8th inning, and now sits down for defensive purposes. So Brooks, one of the huge acquisitions in the offseason for the Dodgers. Here's the big move by the San Diego Padres. Cost them a lot to get Joe Carter, but then again, you're getting a guy with 35 home runs last year.
Well, when you have to give a little bit. They gave up a possible Rookie of the Year in Sandy Alomar Jr. They gave up Chris James, a solid major league player, and they gave up Carlos Baerga, an outstanding young player.
That pitch up top, so Ossie is worked the count to 3-1. That's not exactly what Tommy Lasorda had in mind, to perhaps bring the tying run up to the plate immediately. Carter swings and fouls it back.
You might be saying, where's Jay Howell? Talked to Ron Peranowski, the Dodgers pitching coach, prior to the game. Howell has had a little tenderness in his arm, and he said if the ball club gets in a save situation, I'm not sure at this time, and this was maybe 5-6 hours ago, he didn't know, Ron Peranowski that is, if Howell would be able to perform. And with Ossie in here right now, I have to think that the arm is still tender.
Skied to the right side. Eddie Murray just about at first base. One down in the Padre ninth. Lynn. Freddie Lynn. Now coming up. Lynn with a home run in the second inning. And oddly enough, his last at bat until today, when he hit a home run of Hershiser in the second inning, was the 1980 All-Star game, when he hit a home run off of Bob Welch, then Lynn playing for the Red Sox. And 10 years later, he comes back his next at bat at Dodger Stadium. He hits a home run off Orel Hershiser. He since has flied to right and grounded to first base and is behind 0-2 on the count right here to Don Ossie.
Ossie not doing to Lynn what he did to Joe Carter. He's able to get ahead, and Freddie Lynn not only can hit at Dodger Stadium, he can hit pretty well at Fenway Park too.
Yeah, he was okay there. This one is foul back. Fred Lynn, a big surprise to Jack McKeon. He got him for his leadership, and of course there's no steadier ball player than Lynn when he's healthy. But to hear Jack talk about it last night, he said, you know, Lynn may be playing 3/4 of my games out in left field. When we picked him up in the offseason, really didn't pencil him in like that, but he's had a great spring, and of course a pretty good start of the regular season with a home run today. Freddie Lynn, who played here at Southern California at USC under Rod Dedeaux, 3 straight NCAA titles while he was there before becoming a professional with the Red Sox. Watches this one inside.
Freddie Lynn, I think, if used properly, will be a great acquisition for Jack McKeon. You play him about 110, 120 games a year.
38 years young.
And you hope that he stays healthy and keeps himself in the lineup, because when he is in the lineup, as you mentioned, not only on the bench with his knowledge of the game and helping the younger players, productively he can do a job.
86 hits shy now of the 2,000 mark, and the 3-2 pitch is hit foul on the right field side. So, you know, Lynn is 86 shy of 2,000 hits. He has now 301 home runs. He has over 1,000 RBIs. Broke in 75, and not only rookie of the year, was MVP that year with Boston. 9 times at 20 or more homers. You kind of forget about him, though, lately as being a player with those sort of numbers, don't you? And from an 0-2 pitch, he worked himself a base on balls. That's a nice deal of being patient at the plate.
Something that maybe a younger hitter isn't able to do in this situation. All of a sudden, because of his patience, the Padres are able to bring that tying run to the plate.
In the person of Benito Santiago.
Billy Russell right there next to Tommy Lasorda with the walkie-talkie. Probably talking with Joe Ferguson, former Dodger catcher, who's upstairs as the eye in the sky, trying to position the outfielders and determine where he wants them to play.
Yeah, well, he knows that Santiago's been on base all 3 times today. Hit by a pitch and 2 singles. He can go deep. Not on that one as he fouls it back.
Now you go from the patience of a Freddie Lynn to a Benito Santiago who swings at anything that assembles the baseball coming to the plate, and that's one of his problems. He really got away from that last year, and they have tried and tried to get him to be a little more selective at the plate.
Jack Clark really took him under his wing in August and September and made him really concentrate a lot more. Was in San Diego all during the offseason. There's a strike call. 0-2. Became much more dedicated in the offseason, and because Clark says he sees something about Santiago the way Jack was when he was younger with the Dodgers. But whatever it's done has worked so far. The Padres, who have the best, working on a 10-game winning streak in spring training, the best spring training record at 12-2. But you know what? The Dodgers get 2 more outs. No one's going to remember it because they're going to be 0-1. And there's a nice bit of hitting again. 3 for 3 is Santiago. Lynn will stop at second base. So Santiago, a base runner all 4 times. And it's the bottom of the order that's done the damage for the Padres. The homer by Lynn, the 3 hits by Santiago, and the 2 hits by the next man, Gary Templeton.
The pitch was about 6 inches off the plate, outside. And Santiago, you knew he was going to swing if it was close. And so he just stroked it into right field. I have to think, Boomer, that Santiago is just happy because Sandy Alomar Sr. is no longer in the Junior is no longer in the organization. Happy that Sandy Alomar Sr. is there because he's his third base coach. But all of a sudden, he's the guy. He's the catcher. So much was said of the youngster, and Benito probably wondered about that, but now he feels a lot more comfortable.
That's a good point. Well, wondering whether he would be traded.
Yeah.
One of the 2 of them was going to go all along. I think that was... So you don't get 2 catchers like that within 10 years span, let alone just about the same age. But what he has done is given the Padres 2 base runners with Gary Templeton at the plate. Singled in the 2nd, doubled in the 7th, and hit a scorcher that Eddie Murray got back in the 5th inning. So he's hit the ball hard 3 times. So the Dodgers hoping to perhaps turn a DP and get out of here with an opening day win. It's 4-2 Los Angeles. Hubie Brooks' 3-run homer in the bottom of the 8th has given them the lead. Don Ossie working against Gary Templeton, who fouls it back just below us. And Tempe said before the game, can you do us a favor? First game at ESPN, get it straight. I do not have bad knees. I have a bad left knee, singular. End of story. We said we would try and get it straight.
So look at that right knee, how healthy that is.
Yes, that's right. A textbook knee. 1, not 2 bad knees.
You think about it, Templeton traded for Ozzie Smith.
Yep.
How often does that happen? 2 shortstops, everyday shortstops, and they're still with the clubs they were traded to.
Yeah, I mean, that trade was many moons ago, and they're both still at shortstop for the Cards and Pods. Templeton, 275 lifetime hitter. 2 for 3 today. 4-2 Dodger lead. Freddie Lynn, second base. Nito Santiago at first against Don Ossie, who has really a remarkable comeback a few years ago. Actually, this time, too, really given up for gone in baseball. There's one stroke down into the Padre dugout. 1-2 count to Templeton. He didn't need a souvenir.
Oh, Joe Carter wanted to get a National League Baseball.
Right, that's right. He's never seen one.
Also looking for his first National League base hit. Gary Templeton has a few of those.
That's right. Joe is inspecting Bill White's signature. It was dry. It's there. 4-2 Dodger lead, and Templeton is skied up. Infield fly, which Hamilton drifts under. Really, a shortstop makes the play. And with 2 outs, Tommy, I'm going to let you go out in another limb. I don't think we're going to see the pitcher bat, do you?
I don't think we'll get a chance to see Bruce Hurst hit in this situation.
Rob Nelson.
Rob Nelson, a young hitter in the Padre organization. The unfortunate thing in Nelson's situation, last year he spent a good part of the year at the AAA level, is that he has tremendous power, but he also plays behind a Mr. Jack Clark. They are both first basemen. And so Nelson hasn't gotten the opportunities that he would like as a player in the major leagues. And I have to say one thing about Rob Nelson. He and I went to the same high school, South Pasadena. We're both Tigers.
Same class?
South Pasadena High School.
You preceded him by a year.
A couple of years ahead of him, yeah, I was.
This is home for you here at Dodger Stadium. I know that. And it's been home to an enjoyable opening day game here. 4-2, the Dodgers lead on the 3-run homer by Hubie Brooks. 2 on, 2 out, top of the 9th. Don Ossie gets a strike to Rob Nelson. Padres have more hits, but the Dodgers have more runs. I know, I'm overstating the obvious, and they're one strike away. And now the crowd quiet much of the day as Bruce Hurst had no-hit the Dodgers into the 7th inning. On their feet, looking for the Dodgers to draw first blood. In the 1990 season, their 100th anniversary. They began in 1890, did the Dodgers. Way back as the Brooklyn Bridegrooms. And they don't want to be a bridegroom this year. World champs 2 years ago, last year, weren't even close. Is 1990 the year they climb back atop the NL West and atop the baseball world? As far as today's concerned, they'll take their chances. Strike 3 to Rob Nelson, and the Dodgers have defeated the Padres here on opening day 4-2 in a game where new players made their presence felt.
That was a game because we saw a no-hitter through 6 innings. We saw Hubie Brooks, a new member of the Dodgers, come through with breaking up the no-hitter and the big home run. An exciting day for the Dodgers. Tough loss for San Diego.
So Bruce Hurst, who had a no-hitter into the 7th, takes the loss. John Wetland gets the win. Brooks, the hero today, as the Dodgers beat the Padres 4-2. I'm Chris Berman along with Tommy Hutton. Hope you have enjoyed this afternoon of Major League Baseball. Our next game, the Blue Jays and the Texas Rangers at 8:30 Eastern Time tonight. Well, that's it from Los Angeles. The Dodgers beat the Padres 4-2. Let's go back now to the studio and John Saunders.
Chris and Tom, very nice job here on opening day as the Dodgers win. They pull it out. Hubie Brooks, his first game in a Dodger uniform in the regular season, and he wins the game with the home run. Elsewhere today, games that are final in the National League, the Pittsburgh Pirates all over the New York Mets, 12-3. The Pirates would face 7 pitchers of the New York Mets. Andy Van Slyke had a pair of home runs, 4 runs batted in. Bobby Bonilla with 3 hits, including a home run, and 3 runs batted in as well. Howard Johnson and Barry Lyons with home runs for the Mets. 3 other National League games being played later tonight. The Phillies and the Cubs. That one starts at 8:05. The Expos and the Cardinals, 8:35, as long as the Cincinnati and Houston game also at 8:35. Now, in the American League, the Tigers and the Red Sox were really the first game played today, not Cincinnati as it usually is. Detroit, a loser at Boston, 5-2. Roger Clemens picks up the win. Wade Boggs with career hit number 1,600. He had 3 hits in the game and 3 runs batted in. Dwight Evans, a 3-run double, doing most of the damage all Boston would need in the first inning. Roger Clemens, 5 innings, had a no-hitter going in this one. The Brewers and the White Sox. Chicago wins it 2-1. B.J. Surhoff with a double knocked in the only run for the Brewers. A wild pitch scored Ozzie Guillen with the Sox first run, and then Fletcher with a sacrifice fly to make it 2-1 for the Sox. Thigpen gets the save. Jones was the winning pitcher. The Orioles and the Royals, a game seen earlier here on ESPN. The Orioles pull it up as Danny Tartabull had an error to allow Orsulak to score the winning run in the game. The Orioles win it 7-6. Sam Horn, in his debut as a member of the Baltimore Orioles, had 2 3-run home runs. Tartabull had a 2-run home run. Frank White with a 2-run home run also for the Kansas City Royals. 3 other American League games to be played tonight. Toronto and Texas. You'll see that one here at 8:35. Seattle and California, 9 o'clock start. Minnesota and Oakland. Highlights of these games still to come here on SportsCenter, which will come up in just a few moments' time.